Leaving the Ning family mansion, Yemo now knew the whereabouts of the fishtails. Although he had never heard of that Xiang Ninja dojo, he had to go there for the 2 fishtails. Yemo bought a big case and filled it up with USD. He was going to give this case to Ning Yang. To Yemo, it was like waste paper, but to Ning Yang it would mean the possibility to start his own business. Yemo sent his spirit sense out, and as he was nearly at the tertiary stage of stage 8, his spirit sense was near 22 kilometers. Hence, he immediately found where Ning Yang lived. He didn't think that being a part of the Ning family, he wouldn't even have a home in Beijing. He was staying at a hotel. Yemo arrived in front of Ning Yang's room, and as soon as he came to the door, he heard an argument going on inside. "I was really blind to have fallen in love with someone like you. Why can't we be in Beijing? Are you not a seed of the Ning family? You're a man, yet you let us live in a hotel. We don't even have a home. Go out. Get out." A hurtful woman's voice sounded. "Chi-Chi, listen, we're leaving Beijing straight for Luoyu. We can settle there. Is Luoyu not better than Beijing?" Ning Yang's voice was weak. He clearly felt that he was truly useless. The woman he called Chi-Chi stopped pushing Ning Yang and sniffed. "Go to Luoyu then. All you know is to go to Luoyu. You sold our house in Beijing to go to Luoyu, but in the end, we didn't even get to stay, and now we don't have a place to live anymore. We could only stay at my parents' house in Ninghai. But now you still want to go to Luoyu. Mom, stop arguing with Dad. I still have tens of thousands of pocket money, and Dad is speaking the truth that we can go to Luoyu. The uncle said we can," Ning Lan said weakly. She had always lived a wealthy life and had enough pocket money. She didn't think the family was in such a destitute situation. Chi-Chi seemed to have lost her energy and just sat by the bed sniffing. Ning Yang sighed. "Chi-Chi, it's real this time. I'm not lying to you. Although we don't have much savings. As long as we go to Luoyu." Yemo knocked on the door. Ning Yang opened and saw Yemo standing at the door with a big case. So he called out in surprise and joy, "City Lord Yi, what brings you here?" Yemo waved his hand and smiled. "Brother Ning, just call me by my name. I'm not the city lord right now anyway. Xianxia told me to come visit you." The woman saw Yemo and wiped her eyes, standing on the side in embarrassment. "Uncle!" Ning Lan immediately called out and said to her mom, "Mom, he's the uncle who invited us to Luoyu." Yemo smiled. "Xianxia told me to come help you a bit. Brother Ning, you can take this and go exchange it later. Also give this bracelet to Ning Lan. I'll be going already, but I'll come visit you guys at Luoyu." Yemo then put the case on the side and gave a defensive bracelet for Ning Lan before leaving. He didn't know how to solve their argument though, so he quickly left. After Yemo left, Ning Yang reacted and said to the woman unhappily, "City Lord Yi came, yet you didn't even pour him a cup of tea. You're too impolite." "City Lord Yi? Yemo? He's the husband of Sister Xianxia?" The woman finally reacted and said in shock. Ning Yang said grumpily, "Of course it's him. Otherwise, who do you think can let us go settle in Luoyu with just a letter?" "Why didn't you say so earlier?" the woman complained. "I have been saying it all this time, but you didn't listen." Ning Yang sighed. Chi-Chi seemed to know she had been unreasonable and said awkwardly, "Xianxia told him to bring a case. I wonder what it is." She was full of regret. Xianxia's husband had just been there, that legendary city Lord Yemo, yet she had been crying. She didn't even get to see how that Yemo looked, whether he was handsome or not. Ning Lan ran to the case and opened it. The family was shook. Ning Lan didn't know what it was, but the couple knew. It was a case full of dollars. There was at least a few million in it. There were less and less people he knew at Beijing. Yemo just visited Han Zixin and chatted with him for a while before leaving the Han family. He was going to go to Jiuming Academy first before then heading to Japan. From Han Zixin he found out that Tan Jiao never came back after leaving Beijing. Only Luan Qingfeng had remained. He was a peak half-step great heaven cultivator but couldn't make that final breakthrough. Yemo didn't have a bad impression of him. The Beijing city streets looked even busier than before, but Yemo felt it was missing something. "Drunk Eye Bar," Yemo exclaimed as he saw it still be there even after more than 10 years had passed. He remembered Nye Shuang Shuang. This was the first date he had with her. Of course, he had been there to warn her. Emo subconsciously walked in and found that the layout was exactly the same as all those years ago. How could a bar that never changed earn money? Emo subconsciously walked to the table he sat with Nye Shuangshuang. But before he could sit down, a waiter stopped him. "Sorry, sir, this table is not open for seating. Please choose another table," the waiter said. This rule had existed for more than 10 years. The customer in front of him was probably new. "Why?" Emo asked strangely. The waiter replied politely, "Our president made this rule. This is our president's special seat. It's not open to the public." Emo was speechless. "Who is your president?" Emo subconsciously asked. "The president's surname is Nye." The waiter smiled. "Nye?" Emo thought of Nye Shuangshuang. Was it her? That was impossible. Would she really open up a bar at Beijing? But Emo thought it really might be possible. Thinking about this, Emo asked, "Is your president Nye Shuangshuang?" The waiter looked at Emo strangely and confirmed, "Yes, that is right." It really was her? She had to be an established cultivator already. Why would she open a bar there? "Well, I actually know her. Where has she been? I'd like to go see her." Emo's spirit sense hadn't found Nye Shuangshuang around. The waiter said, "Our president hasn't come for a long time, but if you want to see her, you can contact our store manager." "Sir, you want to find Sister Shuangshuang? Do you know her?" A busta-looking woman in her 30s heard the conversation and asked, "Yes, I know her. Where is she?" Emo nodded. The woman studied Emo and said, "She has left Beijing for 5 years already, but if you really know her, come with me." This woman was only above average looking, but she was quite sexy. When she walked, her ass shook in a special rhythm. Emo, however, just glanced at it and looked away. The woman took Emo to the office and studied Emo for a while and said, "If you only know to stare at my ass, I really hope you're not the man Sister Shuangshuang talked about." Emo smiled as he thought that this woman felt a bit too good about herself. He didn't know how she knew he had looked at her ass, but to be fair, he hadn't even gazed at it for a second. But Emo didn't rebuke her, and he just said plainly, "Tell me where Nye Shuangshuang went." Seeing this, the woman looked at Emo in contempt before using the same plain tone. "You're that Emo, right? Although I've never seen you before. The only guy Sister Nye Shuangshuang knows is you." "That's right, I'm Emo. Now tell me where Nye Shuangshuang went," Emo asked calmly. "She went looking for you," the woman replied. "What? She went looking for me?" Emo asked the woman in surprise. The woman saw Emo was really surprised and couldn't help but feel more contempt towards him. He was cruel enough to not visit a woman who liked him for so many years, and he didn't even know about it. She didn't understand why Sister Nye Shuangshuang would like someone as heartless as this. With her beauty, what man couldn't she get? Why did Sister Nye Shuangshuang sacrifice herself for this man? She hadn't heard any news from her for 5 years. If she really went to Miaojiang, then she might not be alive. "Do you know where she went to find me?" Emo calmed down and asked. He knew Nye Shuangshuang probably didn't go find him at Luoyu, because otherwise Yiling would know. "A few years ago, she got news of your sudden disappearance, so she left Beijing to find you. She left me with this bar. She didn't open this bar for money, so I followed her will and never changed a thing about this bar. I don't really know where she went, but I heard her mention Miaojiang. I don't know if she went there in the end or not," the woman said. Emo left the bar, and the woman took out a video recording, wanting to see Emo's lustful ogling of her butt. But the next moment her face turned green. She had been thinking too highly of herself. The video recording showed that Emo had only scanned her ass for less than a second. Immediately, she felt very embarrassed. No wonder Emo's face didn't change at all. Moreover, he couldn't even be bothered to explain himself. Emo didn't feel so good after walking out of the bar. Although he wasn't interested in Nye Shuangshuang, she had gone missing due to him. China was so big, while his spirit sense was only 20 kilometers. It would be impossible to find her, not to mention that she might not even be in China. At least for Yun Zi's dad, Yun Dongxia, he could make an advertisement through TV. As for Miao Jiang, Yimo had to go for Yimo anyway. It would be even better if he could find Nye Shuangshuang there too. Yimo decided to look for Xianxia first. He didn't walk very far away from the bar when a very exposed woman threw a flirty glance at him and said seductively, "Big brother, could you go in and have a drink with me?" Yimo had no interest to drink with such a woman. So he waved his hand. "Sorry, I'm busy." Then he immediately left. Yimo found himself a place with no one around and was about to fly towards Kunlun when his spirit sense checked up on that woman again. She had found someone else to drink with. It was a man in his 50s. He had a bald head and very small eyes. Yimo shook his head and wanted to take back his spirit sense, but a moment later, something made him change his mind, and he followed the two. He noticed that the bald man was some ancient martial arts master at the Earth-level tertiary stage. Yimo didn't understand why a master like him would get together with an escort. Even though the man was ugly, he could have any sort of woman he wanted with his power. On top of that, his inner chi wave felt familiar to Yimo. The man's chi had a certain recognizable earth element to it. The man drove an ordinary van. Yimo followed behind the man and kept scanning the man with his spirit sense. Soon, he remembered that when he cured Zhua Aigua's son, Zhua Huatang, he had a sliver of inner chi in his brain. It was the exact same chi as the chi this man had. The man drove to a place near the Yen River. They were at the slums. "Big brother, you're really interesting. You live here?" The woman was still smiling as she leaned on the bald man. But Yimo could tell that she was a little scared. "Hee. Don't worry. This is for you." The man stopped the car and took out a few $100s and stuffed them into the woman's chest. Then he dragged the woman into a house. Yimo followed in and scanned the place with his spirit sense. His face sunk immediately. There was an underground room with multiple bodies inside. The woman might have gotten some money, but she was no idiot. She could feel that something creepy was up with the house and that the man didn't really seem to want to fuck her. "I'm Hong Guangping. Don't hate me for this, but I have no choice. Don't worry, after you die, I will burn some money for you." The bald-headed man suddenly took out a blood-red bug and looked at the woman. "What are you doing? I'll give you all the money you want, just don't kill me," the woman begged. As Hong Guangping saw this, he said in a sympathetic tone, "I'm really sorry. I would really love to just knock you out. But if I do, my baby wouldn't be able to get the best essence blood out of you." Yimo understood what was going on. This guy's red bug was a goo bug, and he was using it to rob living people of their essence blood. Yimo thought this guy must be from the All Gu sect too. From this guy's means Yimo could tell he was stronger than Rinsha. But he didn't seem to be the person who planted the pill goo on Yimo. Hong Guangping threw his goo out and said, "Baby, hurry up. We don't have much time." The woman saw the blood-red bug fly towards her and screamed. Then she fainted. Hong Guangping couldn't let her faint, though, and as he wanted to wake her up, he suddenly sensed his goo bug disappear. He turned around immediately and asked in shock, "Who are you?" Yimo ignored Hong Guangping and floated the goo bug above his palm. The goo bug struggled for a good while. He took out a bottle and sealed it inside. Then, he looked at Hong Guangping and asked, "You're from the All Gu sect?" Although other people's lives were like grass in Hong Guangping's eyes, he valued his own life a lot. He knew he was an ant to this young man who was able to come into his room without him noticing at all and control his goo with just his bare hands. This young man might very well be a great heaven master, or at least a half-step great heaven cultivator. Now that Yimo asked him this question, he was shook. There weren't a lot of All Gu sect members, so there weren't many who knew about them. Their cultivation method was very cruel and evil, just like the 9 moon sects, so they were also looked down upon by most sects. Thus, they didn't participate in hidden sect activities and were very low-key. But he quickly replied, "Yes, Qianbei. Wanbei is a member of the All Gu sect." "Why are you harming people in Beijing then?" Yimo asked while scanning the man and was sure that he wasn't the black-clothed man Song Yangzhu had talked about. Hong Guangping hesitated when he felt a cold chi rush towards him. Before he could react, he felt his left arm go cold, and it instantly fell to the ground. Blood splashed out. Hong Guangping was stunned and furious. He didn't think that just for hesitating only a little bit this man would slice his arm off. But he also came to realized that this young man was stronger than he had thought. He himself was at the Earth-level tertiary stage, yet he hadn't even been able to react. Now, it could be seen that he was even worse than an ant to this young man. Understanding this, Hong Guangping quickly stopped his bleeding and replied immediately, "Qianbei, I came to Beijing because the egg of the all-goo sect's golden magical goo has been found." Emo sneered. "What's that got to do with you coming to Beijing?" Hong Guangping was pale due to the loss of blood already, but he didn't dare to reply slowly, because the golden magical goo exists as a pair. There are 6 disciples of us in the same generation, so we've locked it up in a secure place and we'll be holding a month-long tournament later at our sect. Only the 2 who get first and second place can get the eggs. Emo sneered. "Seems like there's quite a lot of all-goo sect trash. I killed a Rensha and a Yen Wuliang, yet there's still so many of you. How long until this 1-month tournament?" Hong Guangping shivered upon hearing this. Why was he so unlucky? Yen Wuliang was fine, he was very cruel, but his power was rather weak. But Rensha was very powerful. He was the genius of the all-goo sect, but there hadn't been any news of him for more than 10 years. So it was this man who killed him. Hong Guangping was also cruel, but he was rather fearful of his own death. His teeth were even chattering as he spoke carefully. "There's one more week, Qianbei. I'm actually a benign person. I really don't like killing people. I'm the most good-hearted in the whole all-goo sect. If it wasn't for the golden magical goo, I wouldn't come out to Beijing to increase my power either. Please have mercy on me. I'm willing to take you to the all-goo sect and kill all of the members." "Oh, so according to you, the all-goo sect is quite prosperous as to motivate you to go through such lengths for their rewards. There are so many sect members outside, though. How can you kill them all?" Emo sneered. Hong Guangping said more desperately, "Qianbei, I'm telling the truth. There aren't that many all-goo sect members. There's only 6 left. It is due to the limited resources these years that the disciples devoured each other's guts. And so now, the remaining ones are all elite members." Emo breathed easy. If there were a lot of all-goo sect members, and if they all went to Luoyu would suffer heavily. Emo sneered. "In that case, I don't need you to lead the way. A week later, I will go to your sect and kill them all myself." Hearing this, Hong Guangping almost slapped his own mouth. Why did he say that the sect members had devoured each other? At this moment, that woman woke up, and her first reaction was to scream. When she then saw Emo and Hong Guangping with a missing arm, she screamed even louder. Emo frowned and said, "Take that black bag and go. You can take the van and drive away, you have no business here." "Ha!" The woman realized that the young man telling her to go was the customer she wasn't able to get. "Big brother, did you save me?" The woman wasn't dumb. Emo sighed. "Yes. Now take that black bag and go already." Emo's spirit sense had scanned that the black bag was full of money. It was Hong Guangping's. "Huh? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you." The woman didn't want to take the black bag, but she didn't dare to reject Emo's request. Soon, she drove away from the Yen River in the van. Seeing Emo look at him again, Hong Guangping shivered and said, "Qianbei, I'm truly kind-hearted. This was the first time." Emo sneered. "First time? So the bodies underground have nothing to do with you?" "Huh." Hong Guangping was dazed. How did this young man know about that? He had clearly come from the front entrance. Had he been hiding there before? Seeing Emo's killing intent, Hong Guangping shivered even more, but didn't know how to beg this young man to let him go anymore. "Let me ask you something. Who knows how to raise a pilgoo in the all-goo sect?" Emo asked with even stronger killing intent. Hong Guangping quickly answered, "Martial brother Ji Lai does. He's always been outside the sect, and he's much stronger than me." "Will he be going back to the all-goo sect in a week?" Emo asked impatiently. Yes, he will go back for sure." Hong Guangping shivered. "And where will your martial brothers be gathering then?" Emo asked. "At the place where our master died. Nanjiang Wanchu Mountain." Then Hong Guangping quickly said, "Qianbei, I have a key you will need, but I don't have it on me. If you kill me, you won't be able to get the key. Emo sneered. He didn't believe that place would be hard enough to stop his flying sword. After finding out all he wanted to know, Emo looked plainly at the shivering Hong Guangping and smiled. Hong Guangping saw this and forced out a smile, wanting to show he could still be useful. Then Emo said, I'm really sorry, and I really did want to give you a chance first before killing you. But that's too troublesome. Don't hate me after I kill you, because you won't have a next life. I will burn your soul away. Then Emo threw a flame over. Emo had listed the Algu sect as a sect he must annihilate. After this event, Emo didn't stay in Beijing and headed towards Jiuming Academy on his flying sword. Emo didn't know where on Kunlun Jiuming Academy was, and the Kunlun ranges were thousands of kilometers long. He wouldn't be able to find it with this spirit sense over a single night. So he just went to Luqing City and planned to go to the place where Jiuming Academy accepted guests. After coming to the city, Emo felt it was very quiet. It was a well-developed place which should be more prosperous at night. Emo scanned the area with his spirit sense and quickly found Jiuming Hotel. So Emo went there without hesitation. As soon as he arrived, he saw a figure stumble as he charged into the hotel. It was a man at the Earth-level primary stage man who was heavily injured. Someone immediately helped him up when he came in, and 2 more Earth levels came to the door and looked around. Such things were happening on Jiuming Academy's land? Emo was about to go in and ask what was going on when his spirit sense picked up on a wave. This wave was an ethereal person. Invisibility? Emo was shook. Who could turn invisible other than him? He scanned the person with his spirit sense. After measuring the person's power, he relaxed. This wasn't invisibility, it was an inner chi trick. The figure stared at the door of the hotel for a long while before leaving in dissatisfaction. Emo immediately followed up and completely checked this person. The person was at most at the black level, yet he was able to heavily injure an earth-level cultivator, almost killing him. However, he seemed to have gotten injured too, and there was blood on his stomach. Emo realized that this person must be related to the Japanese master and disciple pair who tried to cause trouble at the Hidden Sex tournament. In the end, Emo had killed the master by nailing him to the wall, and his disciple had also been killed by Xianxia's disciple with his wind blade rune. More than 10 years later, he saw such people again at the foot of Kunlun Mountain. The black figure was very fast, and soon, he left Luqing and went into a Range Rover, which was waiting for him by the side of the road. The vehicle quickly drove off onto the highway, and when Emo scanned the car with his spirit sense, he found that there were another black level and earth level cultivator in the car. The driver wasn't a cultivator at all. Half an hour later, the car stopped at a remote village. All 3 cultivators got off and went into the village without the driver. The driver then left. Emo followed the 3 into a small mansion. There were many of these small mansions in this village. In this mansion, there were already 5 people who seemed to be waiting for the 3. Emo followed them into the house without hesitation. The first to speak was Japanese, and Emo couldn't understand him. Luckily, another white-faced man spoke in Chinese. Chiu, you didn't get him and even got injured instead? The black level bowed and said, yes, that person is definitely no ordinary Earth-level primary stage cultivator. He can easily kill Earth-level middle stage masters. After I stole his thing, he ran off. Then, the man handed a booklet with both of his hands. The white-faced man nodded. Stand on the side. Yes. This black level man retreated to the side. The other 2 also handed a couple of booklets. Emo sent his spirit sense around and saw that they were all ancient martial arts cultivators. Emo was shook. Were these people killing ancient martial artists to get their cultivation methods? Or did they know that Jiuming Academy had notified all Earth levels to come so they were waiting for them? Emo scanned the mansion with his spirit sense too and saw a large pile of ancient martial arts cultivation methods. It seemed his guess was right. But there were too many here. Did they really need this many? Suddenly, that Japanese man spoke in Chinese. Let's leave immediately. There's no need to stay here anymore. The white-faced man nodded. Yes. Although we didn't hit our target, we need to change locations nonetheless. Then he looked coldly at Chiyu. Chiyu was shook and knew the white-faced man wasn't happy with him. His failure had exposed them. The Japanese nodded. Then let's go to Beijing first. Jitankuen will continue with the remaining work. You just need to go from Beijing to Luoyu and do everything according to plan. The white-faced man looked at the Japanese man and said, Anko-kun, according to my intel, that Yi guy appeared in Beijing recently, meaning that he isn't at Luoyu right now. I think we can't go to Beijing yet, although it's a really small chance that he finds us, but if he does, I'm sure that all of us combined would be no match for him. Humph! There were 3 men who sat at the top. Among them was a tall, skinny, middle-aged man who was unhappy. Emo scanned this man and found that he was the strongest there, having half-step great heaven power. The white-faced man smiled. I have more enmity with Emo than anyone. He annihilated our Dongfang family in Luoyu, so I want to kill him more than anyone. But I also know better than anyone else that we aren't capable of killing him yet. Brother Xiangheng, although I know you're the strongest here, that Emo isn't any weaker than Xiangjing Qianbei of your Xiang Ninjutsu dojo. Can I think of this as Dongfang Wang deceiving us into helping you achieve your goals? The tall, skinny man sneered. The white-faced man seemed a little helpless and could only say, I can swear that the young master didn't lie to you. Not to mention, your sex Aosi Kalang also died by Yemo's hands. Does dojo leader Xiang not want revenge? If he didn't want revenge, I don't think you would be here. That tall, skinny man didn't argue back. Yemo now understood what was going on. Dongfang Wang was teaming up with these Japanese against Luoyu. Yemo didn't keep listening. He walked in and raised his hand, and tens of wind blades flew out. In an instant, the room was bombarded with sword chi as blood splashed everywhere. Yemo killed 5 out of the 8 people in the room without any resistance. Yemo left that Japanese man, white-faced man, and tall, skinny man alive. As Yemo expected, the first to react was that tall, skinny Xiangheng. He had pulled out his curved sword instantly and was looking at Yemo with alert. The reason why Yemo had caused a bloodbath on the ground level right from the start was to shock the people above. But clearly the Xiangheng didn't care. The white-faced man had also gotten up, and his face did get pale. His body was trembling as he asked, You're Yemo? How did you get here? Yemo ignored him and walked up to the man, kicking him away into the pool of blood. He kicked that other Japanese man away too before sitting down and looking at Xiangheng. Xiangheng stared at Yemo for a while before saying, I'm probably no match for you. Yemo smiled calmly. Of course you're no match for me. I don't need you to remind me. Xiangheng's face burst red as he said in anger, Even if I'm no match for you, I will still fight you. Then, he was about to attack. Yemo waved his hand. No need to seek death. I heard your dojo leader was also looking for this. Then, Yemo took out the 5 pieces of the yin-yang fish. Xiangheng saw this and said shakily, You have 5 pieces? If you were to obtain the 2 fishtails, you would have collected all of the fish jumping through the dragon gate. Yemo looked at the excited Xiangheng and knew there really was some big secret involved, and it seemed like that dojo leader would know for sure. Seeing Yemo put the pieces away, Xiangheng immediately wanted to make a grab for it. But Yemo sneered and threw out tens of wind blades. He didn't want to kill Xiangheng yet, so they didn't hit any vital spots. Seeing the frosty chi come at him, Xiangheng realized his situation and picked up his curved sword without hesitation. It spun a circle and clashed with the wind blades while Xiangheng imbued his inner chi. Yemo didn't keep throwing wind blades, because Xiangheng would really end up chopped up on the ground otherwise. This was the difference in strength between truth cultivators and ancient martial artists. Clank, 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 Xiangheng retreated to the back of the meeting room. There were cuts on his arms and stomach. Yemo approved of this Xiangheng. He was much stronger than other half-step great heaven cultivators. Xiangheng's face was pale, and he looked at Yemo in shock. He had never seen such a master that could easily condense inner chi into blades. What martial art was this? The difference between them was too great. You're from the Xiang Ninjutsu dojo, right? And your dojo leader has the 2 fishtails, right? Yemo asked. Yes. Xiangheng replied subconsciously. What's the main purpose of the fish pieces? What are you doing here? Were the people I killed from your dojo too? Emo asked. Xianxia shook his head. I only know that once the pieces are gathered, they can form the fish ascending into Dragon Gate. There's a huge fortune inside, but I don't know the specifics. I came here to kill you, and those you killed were people dojo leader trained for the Dongfang family. Emo could tell from Xianxia's eyes that he didn't lie. Emo nodded. Seeing that you didn't lie, I will allow you to commit suicide. Thank you. Xianxia was unsatisfied, but he didn't attack Emo again. He simply slit his throat with his sword. Blood splurged and Xianxia fell on the ground. Emo then looked coldly at the white-faced man. This fellow was from the Dongfang family. Emo knew that Dongfang Wang, that venomous snake, wouldn't stop just like that, but he didn't understand why they were killing hidden sect members. The white-faced man looked scared, but Emo knew he would never tell him the truth. Hence Emo walked up to the man and patted him on the forehead. The man's face relaxed, and his eyes looked blank. What's your name? Emo asked. I'm Dongfang Xiao. The white-faced man answered calmly, but this shocked the Japanese man heavily. Why are you killing the hidden sex masters? Why are you collecting ancient martial arts cultivation methods? Emo soon understood what was going on. Dongfang Tang had sent the Japanese there, while Dongfang Xiao represented Dongfang Wang, and Xianxia represented the Xiang Ninjutsu Dojo. Xianxia's purpose was simple: to get revenge from Emo and collect the yin-yang fish pieces. Dongfang Tang represented Northern Sand and wanted to collect the ancient martial art cultivation methods. Dongfang Wang wanted to annihilate the hidden sects and make a copy of the low-level sex cultivation methods and spread them around Luoyu. Dongfang Wang's purpose was to make people think that Luoyu was the one who had been annihilating the hidden sections. This was because Emo did similar things in the past. The Gourd Cave, He-Lu Sect, Broken Fist Hall, and Diansong. Emo curse. This Dongfang Wang was really freaking bleak. If people really believed Luoyu did this, all those hidden sect masters would come to Luoyu for revenge. Luoyu wouldn't care about one or two, but if more came and all targeted the Luoyu higher-ups, then there wouldn't be enough officials to kill. Of course, when Luoyu was completely stabilized, they wouldn't care, but Luoyu was just having its new rules established. Luoyu would also get a bad reputation, while the hidden sects would stand on Dongfang Wang's side. Intricate calculations indeed. All the bastards of the Dongfang family were sly as heck. Does this mean that all the hidden sects were annihilated by you guys? Emo asked coldly. Dongfang Xiao replied, No, some weren't done by us. Who did it then? Emo asked. We've investigated it, and it should be related to the All-Gu sect. After saying this much, Dongfang Xiao woke up and realized what had happened to him. He looked at Emo with a face of disbelief. Emo pulled out his phone and called Yu Miaodon. Sister Yu, what has the Union said about Northern Sand invading Sisun? Yu Miaodon replied, It's still under negotiation, and there's no specific plan of action yet. Then don't bother anymore. Just find an excuse to announce war on Northern Sand and annihilate them. Emo was very angry. Ha! Yu Miaodon was shook. Luoyu had a reason to fight the first and second times they went to war, but this time we have no excuse. This would leave a bad international reputation and shake the whole of Luoyu. Emo suddenly woke up from her words. The current Luoyu wasn't the Luoyu from more than 10 years ago. Luoyu had only been built then, so its people didn't have a sense of belonging to Luoyu, and neither did Luoyu have that for the people. At that time, they could fight whenever they wanted. But now they couldn't. Emo fell silent. He felt he had reacted a bit too emotionally. He didn't like to keep playing with tricks, which was why he gave Luoyu to others for management while he could quickly settle things when there was a coup d'etat and such in Luoyu. But he needed to change his character a little. There would be schemes and tricks in any world. There was no shortage of people like Dongfang Wang. If he killed Dongfang Wang, there would still be a Shifang Wang. After long, Emo said a little despondently, You're right. Let's wait and see what they have to say about Sisun. As for Northern Sand, Luoyu doesn't need to take action. I will annihilate them myself. Emo wasn't going to let Northern Sand go at all. He had decided to go to Northern Sand's base himself and annihilate them all. He had the power, so he didn't need to play politics with them. Hearing Emo say he would annihilate Northern Sand, that Japanese man shivered again. Emo didn't get to know from Dongfang Xiao where Dongfang Wang was, but he knew where Shitang was now. It was a small tribe in southern China. 2 hours later, Emo left the village and went back to Luqing. Although those ancient martial arts were useless to him, he still made a copy. Who knew when he would need them? Then, he put the cultivation methods all in a big bag which he carried in his hand. "Brother Yi, you're here too." Emo didn't think that the first he would see at Jiuming Hotel would be Xianxia. He was standing at the door and greeted Emo joyfully. Clearly, he had fully recovered. "Is everything okay now?" Emo scanned Xianxia with his spirit sense. "Brother Yi, thank you for your pill. Otherwise, I would still be in that bed." Xianxia hadn't broken through to Great Heaven, but he was a half-step Great Heaven Peak Master now. Emo patted Xianxia's shoulder and said, "Brother Zhang, who attacked 36 River?" Xianxia had a hateful look as he said word by word. "His name was Xiang Heng. If not for the fact that he ambushed me first, I wouldn't have been the first to get injured. I'll admit his movement technique might have been strange, but I won't give up just like that. I was waiting for you here to tell you that I must kill that Xiang Heng no matter who he is. Brother Zhang, no need to do that. I've just killed him for you." Emo nodded. "What? You killed Xiang Heng?" Xianxia didn't say this, as it was another ancient martial artist who had just walked out and heard this. Emo had long since noticed that a few people had arrived. He knew them all. The leading man was Feng Wu, the vice-sect leader of Jiuming Academy. Behind him were his martial brother Zheng Chao and his martial sister Kai Ji. It was Feng Wu who asked the question. Zheng Chao was still at the Earth-level middle stage, but Kai Ji was at the Earth-level tertiary stage. Feng Wu was on the same level as Xianxia, and perhaps even a little stronger. No wonder Jiuming Academy could become the #1 sect of the outer hidden sections. Xianxia was the strongest in 36 Rivers, but Feng Wu was supposedly only ranked 3rd in Jiuming Academy. There were more people behind this group too, but they were just all Earth levels he had seen at the tournament. "Brother Yi, you really killed Xiang Heng?" Xianxia grabbed Emo's hand in excitement and asked. Although he was confident he could beat Xiang Heng, he had no confidence in killing him. The people Xiang Heng brought with him had almost annihilated 36 Rivers. Emo nodded. "Yes, and not only that, I killed another few masters who were assassinating the hidden sect masters and robbing the hidden sect's cultivation methods as well." Feng Wu and company heard this and were stunned. Zheng Chao looked surprised and asked, "City Lord Yi, you really found out who was behind it? Shouldn't this have nothing to do with you?" Emo frowned. Dongfang Wang hadn't even started spreading the cultivation methods in Luoyu, yet these people were already suspecting him. There was no way he would be able to clear his name once the plan started. Xianxia immediately sneered, "Brother Zheng, I can guarantee with my life that Brother Yi is not such a person. How dare you question him like that?" Emo felt warm. He knew that Xianxia must have spoken out for him a lot. Otherwise, perhaps they would have thought he was the culprit already. But Emo knew that his past battles had been too shocking. He even annihilated the gourd cave, so he didn't blame Feng Wu and the rest. He nodded. "Luoyu was indeed not behind this. But I can't say it's completely unrelated to Luoyu." Seeing everyone's confused eyes, Emo sighed and said, "Because Luoyu has an enemy called Dongfang Wang who wanted to put the blame of the annihilation of the hidden sects on Luoyu. When I came here today, I saw someone hunt a man up to this hotel. I followed that person and found out what happened. City Lord Yi, please come inside." Feng Wu immediately became very polite. He knew Yemo's power. More than 10 years ago, he could annihilate the gourd cave already. After all these years had passed, there was no way he wouldn't have gotten stronger. He had felt like his state might be higher than Emo, but now he realized Emo was probably still way more powerful than him. Emo explained things after taking everyone to the meeting room and dumped the bag of cultivation methods in there. There were quite a few top-level cultivation methods, but a lot of the sects they belonged to were annihilated, so Yemo left these at Jiuming Academy. Although those sects were annihilated, most people weren't killed. Dongfang Wang wouldn't kill them all because who would look for trouble with Luo Yu then? After some negotiation, Jiuming Academy sent out a wanted order for the Dongfang family and listed them as the #1 enemy of the hidden sections. Meanwhile, those who had their sects annihilated could come to Jiuming Academy to collect their cultivation methods. Due to Yi Mo's power and status, all the hidden sects representatives would greet him. Yi Mo didn't reject those who wanted to base their sect at Luo Yu, as long as their cultivation methods weren't evil and they understood that at Luo Yu, they had to obey Luo Yu's laws. Although many hidden sects had second thoughts due to this, Xianxia decided to move to Luo Yu. After the meeting, Yemo brought Xianxia to the top level of the hotel. After the two sat down, Yemo asked, "Brother Zhang, I would want to know what your goal is in life." Xianxia was dazed, but he quickly said, "Of course it is to reach great heaven. After you reach great heaven, your power increases manifolds, and you get an extra 60 years of life. Although I look 40, I'm already almost 60. If I don't break through soon, I won't have any chance in the future, so I'm fully pursuing great heaven now." Yemo shook his head and said, "The extreme of ancient martial arts isn't great heaven, much less the great heaven you're talking about." "What?" Xianxia was shook, but he didn't say anything else as he knew Yemo would tell him more. Yemo said, "In the past, I knew even less about ancient martial arts than you, but now, I can clearly tell you. First, after the peak of Earth level peak comes not the half-step great heaven or great heaven, but the heaven level. Only those who surpass the heaven level are great heaven. After great heaven there are higher levels, but I've only met true great heaven masters and haven't witnessed any level higher than that, so I don't know more." Xianxia looked at Yemo with his mouth wide open in shock and was unable to say anything. Yemo didn't interrupt Xianxia. He knew that Xianxia needed time to process this information. After all, anyone would be in disbelief and loss when something they've worked for all their life turned out to be meaningless. After a long while, Xianxia woke up from his shock. He believed that Yemo wouldn't lie to him, so he sighed. "Funny how everyone is working hard to reach great heaven, yet it's actually like this." Then, he seemed to remember something and asked Yemo in shock, "Brother Yi, you said you've seen a real great heaven master? But according to what I know, the highest powers of China's hidden sects are Gourd Cave's Ren Pingchuan and Jiuming Academy's Wang Yijian. They are, at most, at the heaven level. Is there someone who surpassed them?" Yemo nodded. "Yes, because I went to the small world and saw the inner hidden sects. I fought with a lot of them too." Xianxia could no longer resist the excitement in his heart and got up suddenly. But then he quickly sat back down and asked shakily, "Brother Yi, you really went to the inner hidden sects?" The reason why he was so excited was because he knew that over the countless years, inner hidden sect members would come out once in a while the people outside could never go in. It was also said that the inner hidden sects were much stronger than the outer hidden sections. Yemo said again, "Yes, and if heaven-level cultivators are counted as great heavens, then all big inner hidden sects have 7 or 8 great heaven masters. But if we're talking about true great heaven masters, then there's only 1 or 2 in the inner hidden sections." Yemo thought about the sword technique he got from the man-hunting Jimei, and he felt that ancient martial arts weren't as simple as he'd thought. Although they weren't as strong as truth cultivation in the early stages, what if they surpassed great heaven and reached higher states? What would it be like then? Yemo thought about this for a long time but couldn't draw a conclusion without seeing it. "How do you enter the inner hidden sects?" Xianxia asked excitedly. If he went to the inner hidden sects, wouldn't he be able to reach greater levels? Yemo's face sunk. "My wife is actually in the small world right now, but I have no way of going at the moment. I will try again once I reach a higher level." Yemo wanted to see if he could repair the formation once he reached the foundation establishment state. Hearing this, Xianxia looked extremely disappointed and sighed. "So I have cultivated for so long, yet I won't even break through to the heaven level. Instead, I have been comforting myself thinking that it's great heaven I have almost reached. I was really viewing the world from inside a well. In fact, I have a way for you to reach heaven level right away, Xianxia said. He didn't tell him these things initially, so as not to traumatize Xianxia's will to cultivate. Ha! Xianxia felt his heart wasn't able to take the shock of Yimo's words tonight. He felt like all of these things couldn't be real. But he knew that Yimo wouldn't trick him. Yimo took out a great essence-increasing pill and said, I got this from the small world. If you eat it and digest it and charge for the heaven level, you will succeed for sure. Yes. Xianxia took the pill excitedly. He trusted Yimo completely. As soon as it melted in his mouth, it turned into spirit liquid nourishing his meridians. Xianxia felt like his body was going to explode under the fiery spirit power. Xianxia immediately used his cultivation method to digest the power. His strong foundation allowed him to break through without obstacle. The depth of his dantian formed a qi sea. He reached heaven level and became many times stronger than before. Xianxia wanted to stand up and roar out of excitement, but he resisted such impulses and stabilized his state. When Xianxia woke up again, it was daytime, and he stood up excitedly studying himself. He then said joyfully, I broke through to great heaven. I feel so strong. Yimo smiled. If you want to comfort yourself by saying it's great heaven, I can't do anything about it. But you haven't reached great heaven. Remember, you've just reached the heaven level. Xianxia had set Yimo's words aside. Heaven level was great heaven on earth, meaning that he might be the second heaven level master in all of China. Although Yimo didn't want to shock Xianxia, he was afraid Xianxia would be too satisfied and no longer progress. So Yimo said, Brother Zeng, there are many people at this level in the small world. Anyway, it's daylight now, so let's go down. Xianxia saluted to Yimo with his fists. Thank you, Brother Yi. And I naturally know what you mean, but I won't give up on cultivation like this. Instead, I will work even harder. Xianxia then hesitated before saying, Brother Yi, what is the difference in power between us now? He knew that he was still no match for Yimo. Yimo smiled. In the small world, I was once surrounded by tens of heaven levels, and there were even heaven-level tertiary stage peak masters. Yimo didn't even mention those earth levels and half-step great heaven cultivators. What happened then? Xianxia asked desperately. What happened? Yimo said plainly, I killed them all. Oh, one ran away. Xianxia patted his head speechlessly. This Brother Yi was a real freak. He was definitely a true great heaven master already. He killed tens of great heaven masters? If word got out, no one would believe it. But Xianxia knew Yimo wouldn't lie to him. He no longer had the mood to compare himself with Yimo or to try to spar with him. When Yimo and Xianxia came to the ground floor of the hotel, they happened to meet Fengwu and Co. Fengwu came up to them and said, City Lord Yi, Sect Leader Zeng, we were looking for you guys last night but didn't find you. Yum. Fengwu suddenly stopped. He felt Xianxia was different than before. His power was many times stronger, and his inner qi was seeping out uncontrollably. This was because Xianxia had just reached heaven level and couldn't fully control his power. Sect Leader Zhang, you reached great heaven? Fengwu's voice was shaky. Xianxia reached great heaven in one night? This was too shocking. No matter when, he was always a little stronger than Xianxia in the past, but now, Xianxia had completely surpassed him. Xianxia smiled and nodded. Yes, with the help of Brother Yi, I broke through luckily. No one suspected Xianxia's words as Yimo had come last night and Xianxia broke through right after. Sect Leader Zhang, you've reached great heaven. This is substantial good news. How come you don't look very happy then? An Earth level realized that Xianxia could only at most be called in a satisfied mood. Xianxia smiled bitterly, thinking, if you guys knew how terrifyingly strong Yimo is, and that great heaven isn't great heaven, you wouldn't be like this either. He smiled and saluted with his fist. There's no way I'm not happy, but I just keep it in my heart. But I will borrow Jingming Academy's land to invite everyone for drinks today. Fengwu laughed after recovering from the shock. Great, of course. Let's go to Jiuming Academy now. Finally someone after Martial Brother Wang broke through to great heaven. This is a thing worthy of celebration for the entire hidden sections. Meanwhile, Martial Sister Kai had shimmering looks in her eyes as she stared at Emo as if realizing something very important. With Yemo's investigation, things had cleared out. However, people still needed to discuss what to do so those people who had come to Luqing still could get to Juming Academy. They went by helicopter. Emo had been to quite a few hidden sects and he felt Juming Academy was far grander than Gourd Cove. It was situated at the most hidden peak in the Kuan Luan Ranges, Kuan Zhu Peak. This peak was full of green compared to the other snowy peaks. There were series of constructions everywhere. Emo really wondered how those materials had been shipped there to begin with. Because Emo was a VIP, they arranged it for him to stay in a luxury room. Emo was almost at stage 8 tertiary stage, but he really didn't cultivate much as he had a lot of other things to do. Juming Academy's spirit chi was rather good. Hence, he immediately began to cultivate when he entered the room and asked not to be disturbed. But just when he had finished a big meridian cycle, someone knocked on his door. Emo thought it was going to be Xianxia, but when he scanned his spirit sense out he found it was Juming Academy's Kaiji. Why did this woman come here? However, Emo still opened the door. As soon as he did, Kaiji squeezed in and closed the door. Emo looked at the woman in confusion. He didn't know what she was going to do, but if she was trying to seduce him, it would be too funny. She wasn't ugly, but she wasn't extremely pretty either. Moreover, although she seemed to be in her 30s, Emo knew she was at least in her 40s. Suddenly, Kaiji knelt down and said, "Please make use of Kaiji, City Lord Yi." She knelt down and Emo could clearly see the 2 balls of plump white on her chest and a pink spot at the front. She wore no bra at all. Since she was close to Emo, there was a faint aroma coming from her collar. Emo was sure this was no ordinary perfume smell. Emo frowned. He could tell the woman had dressed like this intentionally to seduce him. But such seduction means were nothing to Emo. Perhaps she didn't know how to. Emo sat down casually and looked at her. "This has no use to me. Sit down and talk. If you have something, say it." Perhaps she realized that she wasn't good at that, and Emo wasn't looking lustfully at her chest. So she could only get up and say, "Although I'm in my 40s, I have a natural aromatic body. I've never touched a man before. I'm willing to give my body to City Lord Yi as long as you accept." Then, she took off her outer layer and began to strip off her inner layer. Natural aromatic body? Emo thought of Su Jingwen, as she also seemed to have this faint natural aroma. Emo quickly waved his hand. "You're exceptional indeed, but I'm not interested in you. If you have something, then say it or else please leave." Kaiji heard this and looked disappointed. She looked at Emo. She hadn't expected that he wouldn't take her natural aromatic body. She knew she wasn't extremely pretty, but she wasn't bad either. Countless men drooled after her, but Emo's eyes didn't even falter. Kaiji shook her head and bowed to Emo. She tidied her clothes and turned away to leave. Emo looked strangely at her and asked, "Why don't you tell me your purpose? Perhaps I can truly help you." Kaiji stopped and stared at Emo. She said, "I only have my body that City Lord Yi might be interested in. Other than this, I don't know anything that can incentivize City Lord Yi. Since City Lord Yi isn't interested in my body, it would only be insulting myself to keep staying here." Emo nodded. "In that case, you may leave." He didn't know her and he had no responsibility to help her. Kaiji was dazed at this, but she didn't leave. Instead, she asked, "City Lord Yi, do you know who the #1 master of Juming Academy is?" Emo smiled. "I'm not a city lord, just say my name." "Yes, Brother Yi." Emo said, "It should be sect leader Wang Yijian. I heard he's at great heaven level." However, Kaiji shook his head. "Brother Yi, if you think that, you're wrong. In the entire hidden sects, including everyone in Juming Academy, they all think the #1 master is sect leader Wang. However, only that person, and I know that he is not." Emo raised an eyebrow and scanned his spirit sense out. He scanned the entire sect quickly and found a short man in an underground room. He looked like he was in his 40s, he had a squared face and small eyes. He looked like he was at half-step great heaven. However, Emo looked carefully and noticed that his real power was not far from Li Cheng's of Tai Sex. There was a great heaven master outside? Emo was dazed. He didn't even know how to break through to this state. That man knew how to hide his power. If he hadn't cultivated the three-birth chant, he might have not been able to tell. Seeing Yemo's bewildered look, Kai Ji said, "Brother Yi, you must not believe me. You must be thinking sect leader Wang reached great heaven more than 10 years ago, so how can there be someone stronger than him?" Yemo shook his head. "No, I believe you. But why are you telling me this?" "Ha! You really believe me?" Kai Ji was dazed and immediately said, "Because I know you're someone with great capability and willpower. Even when they were spreading that you were the one annihilating the hidden sects, I didn't believe it. Not because you couldn't do it, but because you wouldn't lower yourself like that." Yemo looked at this woman in surprise. She looked very ordinary, but she knew him this well. Yemo suddenly looked at her. "Since you know me this well, this means that your seduction plan was also fake. Did you know I would reject you?" Yemo felt that woman was no simple character and had a lot of calculative means. Kai Ji's face blushed and she shook her head. "I was genuine coming here. I thought you might reject me, but I wouldn't have regretted if you didn't. Even if you wanna now, I can take off all my clothes. I trust that Brother Yi knows I'm not a casual woman. I will still hold my stance. I'm not interested. But whether or not the number 1 master of Jiuming Academy is Wang Yijian, it has nothing to do with me. Moreover, how do you know about it?" Yemo said. Kai Ji fell silent before saying, "Pang Wei killed my entire family and raped my mother and 2 sisters. I swore I would get revenge. But after I finally joined Jiuming Academy, I found out he was far stronger than me. When I was watching him practice ancient martial arts 8 years ago, I saw that he could glide in the air and shatter a large piece of cliff with 1 palm. I realized then that he was stronger than sect leader Wang and that perhaps I would never be able to get revenge. The reason I still stay here is to find an opportunity to ambush him." "Do you want me to help you get revenge?" Emo asked with a frown. Kai Ji shook her head. "I know it's too far-fetched to get revenge with my Earth-level power, even with an ambush. So I want to ask Chen Bei to help me reach Great Heaven so I can ambush him." Before Emo could reject it, she said again, "The reason that he could cultivate so quickly is not because he's very talented, but because he has a real ancient martial arts cultivation method. It belonged to my family. My dad found it, but before he could read it, that demon followed him to my home." "That Pang Wei reached true great heaven with that cultivation method of yours?" Emo was quite surprised. This Pang Wei being able to reach great heaven in the outside world was something that couldn't be explained by talent alone. The only explanation Emo could think of was that the cultivation method he got had to be pretty profound. Perhaps it was a real high-level ancient martial arts cultivation method. "True great heaven? What is true great heaven?" Kai Ji asked in confusion. Emo realized he had said too much and replied, "You will perhaps understand in the future," she said to Emo. "The reason why he's stronger than sect leader Wang is not because of his talent, but precisely because he has been cultivating my family's cultivation method." "Where did your father obtain that cultivation method? What is it called?" Emo was also a little interested in the cultivation method. He believed that in the later stages, an ancient martial artist's inner chi wouldn't be weaker than cultivation essence. Perhaps it might even be stronger. The reason why Li Cheng's chi wasn't as strong as Yemo's cultivation essence was due to the 3-birth chant. Li Cheng was perhaps even just cultivating a very ordinary cultivation method, while his 3-birth chant was probably at the pinnacle level of cultivation methods in the cultivation realm. The cultivation system's items were also divided more clearly than in ancient martial arts. There were mortal, spirit, heaven, immortal, god, and holy items. Each grade had levels of 1 to 9. The highest level cultivation method on Luo Yu continent had only been a heaven grade level 2 cultivation method, an incomplete one at that. The cultivation method Emo cultivated in then was at the mortal grade level 6, which could already be called rather decent. As for Mengzhi's primordial chaos chant, Emo estimated that it had surpassed the immortal grade, while the three-birth chant was at least a grade higher than that. Kaiji replied, "My dad and his friends went to Buzhou Mountain once. The Great Wilderness Sutra they had gotten their hands on said that outside the Northwestern Sea there was a spot in the wilderness with a mountain called Buzhou. They believed it should be near the Pamir Plains, Herman Mountain, or Jialan Mountain and went out to look for it. When my dad came back, he was injured and told me he had lost his friends. He had obtained the Wu God chant, though. I was the oldest of 3 sisters, so mother told me to go to the shop and buy something to eat for dad as well as some medicine. When I came back, I saw Pang Wei, that demon, leave my family behind in blood. As I quickly ran inside, I saw my parents and sisters in a pool of blood, and father wasn't dead yet, and he managed to tell me that it had been Jiuming Academy's Pang Wei. I've been at Jiuming Academy for 20 or so years, but I haven't had a chance to kill him." Emo felt quite sympathetic towards this Kaiji. This Pang Wei was indeed garbage. Emo didn't think that it had been that wrong to rob the Sura. He would rob something if it was like an immortal level cultivation method too, but Emo felt contempt towards this man for killing and raping the victims. Emo thought for a bit and said, "Dao friend Kaiji, even if I help you reach great heaven, you'd be no match for him. Do you know what power level he is at right now? Let me tell you about the true great heaven I mentioned before." Emo explained heaven level to her, and Kaiji looked at Emo in disbelief and asked, "Brother Yi, you're saying that sect leader Wang is only at the heaven level and not a proper great heaven master, while that Pang Wei is at true great heaven?" Emo nodded. "Indeed, if I'm not wrong that is." Emo knew he was right as he had scanned Wang Yijin too. He was still at the heaven level tertiary stage, but he was weaker than Qixin from Tai, much less Len Quan and Ling Wushui. Kaiji's eyes looked hopeless. Her face went pale. She hadn't even reached heaven level, and even if she did, there would be a very small chance for her to succeed in ambushing Pang Wei. If Pang Wei was really great heaven, then even Emo would be no match for him, right? Not to mention that Emo had no reason to want to be involved. Emo couldn't bear seeing her despair, so he sighed and said, "I can help you reach heaven level at least." Kaiji would be overjoyed if Emo said this when she first came in, but now she sighed and shook her head. Her eyes were full of defeat. She bowed to Emo and left. She was really intending to leave this time. "I can help you kill Pang Wei too," Emo suddenly said. Kaiji's body shook as some light appeared in her eyes, but it soon dimmed. Emo might die trying to kill a true great heaven. She felt very conflicted. She wanted Emo to help her try, but she didn't want to harm Emo. She knew that this might be her only chance, however. Emo could tell what she was thinking. She smiled. "I'm not risking my life. I believe I can kill him because I've killed people as strong as him before." "In the small world?" Kaiji's eyes lit up again. Emo nodded. "Yes, but I do have one request." Kaiji knelt down again. "Brother Yi, as long as you kill Pang Wei, I will be your maid for the rest of my life. Even if you sell me to a human trafficker, I'd still be grateful to you for life." Emo waved his hand and Kaiji stood up automatically. He said, "I'm not interested in some maid. After I kill Pang Wei, you are you and I am me. There will be nothing tying us together. I just want to see the Wu God chant." Emo would go see that Pang Wei for the Wu God chant no matter what anyway, so he might as well tell Kaiji. Kaiji was overjoyed. With Emo easily being able to lift her up with inner chi and the insurmountable power she felt, he should have a great chance of killing Pang Wei. The only thing she was worried about was Pang Wei's ability to glide through the air. She immediately said, "Although the Wu God chant is our family's, my dad obtained it in a stroke of luck. I don't need this chant. Brother Yi can take it. I just want to kill that demon." Emo shook his head and said plainly, "Although I haven't seen this Wu God chant, I can guess that it's a top-level cultivation method. But no matter how good it is, I have no intention of taking it. I just want to read it once and you can have it back afterwards. Now I will help you reach the heaven level. Eat this pill." Emo gave her a great essence-increasing pill. Ha! Kaiji knew that Emo had decided to help her for free this time. He didn't need to help her reach the heaven level, yet he still did it. She knew that Emo sympathized with her and detested Pang Wei for what he did. Thank you. Kaiji sniffed. For the first time after the loss of her family, she saw hope. Kaiji held the pill in disbelief that one pill could let her reach heaven level immediately. However, she still took the pill without hesitation. Soon she felt a strong spirit force charging. In her joy, she quickly started running her cultivation method and turning it into inner chi. As her inner chi increased, her chi gradually formed. Emo also took a pill himself and started cultivating. After a few meridian cycles, he got up suddenly. He had now reached stage 8 tertiary stage. Emo got up and felt very satisfied. He had just noticed it was daylight now. He looked at Kaiji and at this moment, she stopped cultivating and got up. She looked joyfully at her hands, as though they had turned smoother. She felt a strong inner chi and felt as though she could easily destroy a house with the wave of her hand. I've reached heaven level, Kaiji said to herself. She thanked Emo once again. She hadn't thought his pills were so powerful. Emo smiled. Congrats! Xianxia happened to be at the door of Emo's room and he heard his martial sister Kaiji howl in Emo's room. He was shook. Was Emo an animal? He just stayed at their sect for one night, but he had taken his martial sister to rape her? Xianxia had long wanted Kaiji. Although her looks weren't exceptional, he knew that she had a natural aromatic body. However, his talent was average and he had only been able to reach Earth-level middle stage due to all sorts of resources. But that had been more than 10 years ago. He stayed where he had been since then. Ever since he was rejected by her last time, he had wanted to catch up to her in power. Yet the more desperate he was, the slower he cultivated. Hearing Kaiji inside Emo's room, he couldn't resist it anymore and immediately started knocking. If Emo hadn't a VIP and he could beat Emo, he would be kicking his way in. Emo knew it was Xianxia outside. He looked at Kaiji and said, "Let's go out. Take me to that Pang Wei. After that, I will be leaving Jiuming Academy." "Yes, Brother Yi," Kaiji said. When the door opened, Xianxia saw Kaiji. Her clothes weren't very neat, they even looked a little messy. However, she had a smile on her face and didn't look like she had been forced at all. Kaiji rarely smiled. Xianxia was dazed and asked, "Martial Sister Kaiji, did you come to City Lord Ye's room this morning?" Kaiji stopped smiling and returned to her cold look. She said, "No, I came last night. Do you need anything?" Hearing this, Xianxia immediately realized what was going on. What would a man and woman do together in a room overnight? He opened his mouth and suddenly pulled out his sword. He yelled, "I'm going to kill you." Before Emo could speak, Kaiji sneered and kicked Xianxia many meters away onto a flower pot. Xianxiao's yell startled a lot of people at once. Feng Wu was the first to get there. He looked at Kaiji, who didn't have tidy clothes, and then at Xianxia. He frowned. "Martial brother Zheng, what are you doing here? I will kill Emo." He seduced martial sister Kaiji into staying in his room for the night. Xianxia snarled. Kaiji frowned and sneered. "Xianxia? Who are you to me? I asked Brother Yi to help me, so I came here. Even if he had called me over, what does that have to do with you?" Xianxia opened his mouth, but he was at a loss of words. Everyone immediately understood what was going on, while Xianxia smiled bitterly to himself. That Brother Yi was a clean and honorable person, but it seemed like he controlled himself with women. Moreover, Kaiji was not an extremely outstanding woman. Emo couldn't even be bothered explaining. "Hurry up and leave." Feng Wu yelled at Xianxia. He didn't want to look at him anymore. Then, he said politely to Emo, "My martial brother heard that City Lord Yi had come and he got very happy. He wanted to see City Lord Yi. Please come with me." "I'll come with you." Xianxia knew that Jiuming Academy didn't have a good impression of Emo. He was one of the big 6 sect leaders, so he would go with Emo to show his stance. Emo smiled and said to Feng Wu, "Sorry, if sect leader Wang wants to see me, then tell him to come here. I'm going to do something with Kaiji. I don't have time to see your sect leader Wang." "Huh." Feng Wu hadn't thought that Emo would be like this, so he didn't know what to say. People starting discussing immediately. Although Emo was strong and had managed to make Xianxia reach great heaven in one night, He couldn't be so rude to sect leader Wang. After all, he was a Qianbei, and some people felt Yimo was no weaker than Wang Yijian. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to annihilate Gourd Cave. Yet he still needed to pay his respects to Wang Yijian. Only Xianxia and Kaiji knew that Yimo wasn't doing this intentionally. It was like a yellow level telling an earth level, "Hey, you're not bad. I'll give you a chance to meet me." Would that earth level go visit the yellow level? It was already lucky for the yellow level that the earth level hadn't killed him. The atmosphere became eerie, but Kaiji said, "Martial Brother Feng. Brother Yi really does have something to do with me. He doesn't have time." Kaiji, Feng Wu hadn't expected Kaiji to be helping Yimo too. She even called him Brother Yi. Even if they had slept together, it was just a one-night thing. She didn't need to change so much. When he looked at Kaiji carefully again, he screamed out in shock, "Martial Sister Kaiji, you've reached great heaven? What?" Everyone observed Kaiji and noticed that she was like Xianxia, obviously a great heaven master. Everyone looked at Yimo with fiery eyes, especially the women. They wanted to drag Yimo into a room and let him do anything he wanted so they could reach great heaven too. Xianxia just then realized that there was nothing between Yimo and Kaiji. She couldn't have done anything else that night. Yimo looked around and said, "I found 3 great heaven fruits on the Duanheng ranges. I ate one and I let Kaiji and sect leader Zhang eat the other 2. Yimo knew that greed was endless. Hence, he had to eradicate their greed or he would have to slaughter, which was something he didn't want to do. That means, City Lord Yi, that you're also at great heaven?" Feng Wu asked in shock. Before Yimo could reply, a deep voice sounded. "The Wanbei are indeed impressive. Since I can't get City Lord to come, I came to visit City Lord Yi." At this moment, a middle-aged man appeared at the flower pot where Zhang Chao fell down. No one except for Yimo knew how he appeared. This middle-aged man had sword-like eyebrows and long black hair. He was much taller than Yimo, almost 1.9 m. His face was also very handsome. Sect Leader Wang. Principal Wang. Martial Brother. Greetings sounded from all around, and Wang Yijian had very good manners. So he saluted with his fists to everyone as he kept on wishing them welcome to Zhouming Academy. Everyone compared the two and immediately felt that Yimo was too rude. Wang Yijian then greeted Yimo. "I've long since heard of City Lord Ye's dapper, and now that I see you today, you indeed live up to the name. I just hope you will treat Martial Sister Kaiji right." Kaiji heard this and blushed. "Martial Brother Wang. It's not what you think. Ha ha." Wang Yijian laughed. "Kaiji, it's your fortune that you could reach great heaven. I will talk to you later, but there's a few questions I would like to ask City Lord Yi first." Yimo could feel that Wang Yijian was actually being genuine. This wasn't an act. Yimo saluted back and smiled. "You can ask a head sect leader Wang. I will tell you what you want." Wang Yijian replied, "I heard that when Gourd Cave was still around, City Lord Yi went there. Have you seen Brother Ren Pingchuan?" Yimo thought, does this Wang Yijian want to get revenge for Ren Pingchuan? And replied, "Yes, I saw him and I killed him." Everyone took in a cold breath. Ren Pingchuan and Wang Yijian were renowned as the 2 geniuses of their generation. They were equal in power, so if Yimo could kill Ren Pingchuan, then didn't that mean he could kill Wang Yijian too? Wang Yijian heard this, and his face turned serious. "If I may I ask, when you killed Brother Ren, had he reached great heaven?" Yimo nodded. "Yes, he had, but just broken through at the time. He'd lost his legs and had internal injuries, though, so that battle was unfair for him, but I had no choice. If I hadn't killed him, he would have killed me." Wang Yijian breathed easy after hearing this and asked again, "Then if you met Ren Pingchuan now and he were in top condition, would he be a match for you?" "No," Yimo answered without thinking. Wang Yijian looked serious and stared at Yimo for a long while before saying, "Do you think I'm no match for you either?" Yimo smiled. "You are not." As soon as Yimo said this, the Zhouming Academy members were unhappy. This City Lord Yi was too cocky. Wang Yijian didn't seem angry at all. He frowned and thought for a while before saluting to Yimo. "I know City Lord Yi wouldn't tell lies, but Wang Yijian lives for the martial Dao. Even though I know I'm no match for City Lord Yi, I still want to spar with you. As soon as Wang Yijin said this, everyone became excited. This would be a battle at the pinnacle. The clash between these two masters would create huge sparks. No one believed that Wang Yijin was really not a match for Yemo. They thought Wang Yijin was just being humble. City Lord Yi, if you will, let's go to the martial grounds. Wang Yijin was a true gentleman. Even after what Yemo said, he was still very polite to Yemo. Almost everyone went to the martial grounds, and it was soon full of people. No one wanted to miss this battle. Wang Yijin carried a sword and flew for 10 meters all the way onto the stage. As Yemo brought Kaiji along, he also saw Pang Wei, who had come immediately as well. Yemo saw that Kaiji just glanced at Pang Wei once and looked away. She seemed expressionless, but the fire in her eyes was burning with hatred. Yemo told Kaiji to wait on the side and came to the stage himself, saying to Wang Yijin, "Sect leader Wang, you may attack first." Wang Yijin said calmly to Yemo, "I've devoted my entire life to the martial Tao, so once I fight, it will be a life and death battle. Before the fight, I want to ask City Lord Yi, you probably didn't come here for no reason, right?" Yemo smiled. He knew that Wang Yijin meant to say, "If you die, I will at least help you fulfill your last wish." Yemo shook his head. "I indeed have some business. I came to kill someone, precisely someone from the Jiuming Academy. Hence it's a pity that I have to tell you that even if I died, you couldn't fulfill my wish, so I won't say more. Not that you wouldn't want to, but you wouldn't be able to." A sliver of anger flashed across Wang Yijin's eyes. He thought that Yemo didn't believe his honor as a martial artist, but Yemo was wrong. He valued his integrity, so how can he not do what he should do? He would do it even if Yemo told him to commit suicide, because Yemo had the right to ask him a request. But he didn't keep asking since Yemo didn't believe him. "Where's your sword?" Wang Yijin was an upright martial artist. Even if Yemo didn't believe him, he didn't want to take advantage of Yemo. Yemo shook his head but didn't speak. No matter how much character Wang Yijin had, he couldn't hold it in anymore. He spun his sword into forming an array of sword flowers. Each flower had sword rays inside, and these flowers immediately exploded in front of Yemo, immersing him within. He had decided to show his real power immediately to force Yemo to pull out his sword. If Yemo didn't do that, he would be dead. This was Wang Yijin's true killing move. Xianxia got up immediately. He was at the heaven level now and could feel Wang Yijin's killing intent. This was due to Wang Yijin's will having merged with the sword, and anything in his path would be pulverized. The sword flowers exploded in front of Yemo, and Wang Yijin found that firstly, Yemo still did not pull out his sword, and secondly, he did not dodge either. Wang Yijin was astonished. Was Yemo asking to die? Even Kaiji and Xianxia were sweating cold despite knowing that Yemo would win. Yemo wasn't asking to die, of course. Wang Yijin wasn't bad, but he was far from as strong as Len Quan and co. Even Len Quan was made to die in front of Yemo, much less Wang Yijin now that Yemo was 2 levels stronger than before. Yemo didn't dodge because he didn't need to. His 2 hands spun a semi-arc, and those frosty sword rays and killing intent soon seemed easily controlled by Yemo's hands. It was like a water ball was gathered between Yemo's hands. When he closed his hands, it all disappeared along with the ball. Those with bright eyes could see that the exploding sword rays and chi were held in Yemo's hand, unable to escape. Wang Yijin looked at his sword in a daze, and his shock was indescribable. His sword was clasped between Yemo's hand, and no matter how he used his inner chi, the sword wouldn't move. Wang Yijin's face was pale. He had lost with just 1 move. More than that, he might have gotten to use 1 move, but he was sure that Yemo could kill him all too easily. He had considered the possibility of losing, but only after a serious battle, if at all. He didn't expect to lose so easily. Yet he had treated someone as powerful as this as a wanbei. Wang Yijin felt his face burn with shame. He had devoted half a century to the martial Tao, yet he was beaten so easily. He lost so hard that he somehow even lost faith in himself. Yemo let go of Wang Yijin's longsword. He didn't want Wang Yijin to be too embarrassed. After all, Wang Yijin was a devoted martial artist. Emo didn't have anything against people like him. I lost. Wang Yijin even forgot to take back his sword and only spat these words out after a long while. He realized that he had been viewing the world from the bottom of a well. Emo said he was no match for him, yet he thought Emo was being cocky. Now, it seemed that Emo wasn't being cocky but was actually giving him plenty of respect. The truth was that he wasn't even worthy of Emo attacking. Emo saw the deep loss and defeat in Wang Yijin's eyes and sighed. Sect leader Wang, you lost to me not because you're not as talented or as strong-willed as me. You just never comprehended true ancient martial arts. If you still have faith in the martial Tao, you can talk to sect leader Zhang and Kaiji. Most importantly, casting everything aside to focus on ancient martial arts might not be the best way for you to reach the peak. You might miss out on something like that, just like Dash. Just like how you don't know that the real #1 master in Jiuming Academy isn't you but someone else. Wang Yijin heard this and remembered that martial sister Kaiji and Xianxia had only had to spend one night with Emo to reach great heaven. His heart lit up again. Perhaps he didn't understand the martial Tao correctly. Perhaps he could learn what he truly needed from them. As for Wang Yijin not being the #1 master, Wang Yijin thought Emo meant that he was the #1 master. Thank you, City Lord Yi. Wang Yijin bowed deeply to Emo. He didn't know if Kaiji would be able to tell him why, but he already knew the difference between him and Emo was too great. The scene burst out. Most people didn't expect Wang Yijin to lose, while some had thought he would lose but not so utterly. Was this the supposed pinnacle battle? If it was, then it was too much of a joke. Wang Yijin left the martial stage but didn't leave the scene. He really wanted to know who Emo was going to kill, and why Emo said Wang Yijin wouldn't be able to kill him. Suddenly, Wang Yijin was shook. Emo said that the #1 master in Jiuming Academy wasn't him, so was there someone in the sect stronger than him? When Pang Wei saw Emo catch Wang Yijin's sword with 2 hands, his pupils dilated quickly. He knew Emo was very powerful but didn't expect him to be this powerful. This was far exceeding Wang Yijin's level. Pang Wei thought that if he fought Wang Yijin, he could also instantly catch Wang Yijin's sword, but he knew the Jiuming Academy sword style while Emo didn't. From this, he could tell that Emo was no weaker than him at all. Pang Wei's eyes sunk. Emo was this young, yet he was this strong already. He must have some secret. He wasn't going to let Emo go, and he still believed he could kill Emo head-on. Even if Emo had no secret, he had to die. He wouldn't allow anyone who could threaten him to exist. Pang Wei turned around. He wouldn't attack Emo now. He wanted to make sure he had a 100% guarantee. Just when he was about to leave, he heard Emo's voice. As I said, I have something important to do here other than sparring with sect leader Wang. Everybody stop talking. Emo said plainly, I will be killing someone today. This person is Jiuming Academy's Pang Wei. Emo didn't explain his reason, but no one would think he didn't have a reason. Did the strongest person in the hidden sects need a reason to kill Pang Wei? Everyone from Jiuming Academy was dazed, though. They didn't think Emo would be killing Pang Wei. He was the second master of the sect, but he kept a low profile. Why would Emo attack him? People would feel it was much more reasonable for Emo to kill Feng Wu, who kept a high profile and had a much greater chance of offending Emo. Feng Wu was actually also dazed. City Lord Yi? Emo waved his hand and stopped Feng Wu from talking. He stared coldly at Pang Wei. You can come up now. If you can kill me here, that will be the effect of your own power, and no one will seek revenge from you. Pang Wei turned around again, and his eyes narrowed. He stared at Emo for a long while before saying, I never manage anything for Jiuming Academy. Why is it that you want me dead? A sword suddenly appeared in Emo's hand, and he flicked it while replying. Because I don't like you, I want to kill you. Is that not enough? Ha ha ha. Pang Wei laughed and said scornfully, City Lord Yi, you're overstepping boundaries. Jiuming Academy is still one of the big sects, yet you're going to kill its people without reason. Are all high-powered people this prone to carnage? You can annihilate Gourd Cave as you please, and now the next one is our Jiuming Academy. Many people stared at Emo with tension. If Emo admitted to it, they would all attack. Emo sneered, "You sure know how to scheme around. 20 years ago, you stole something from a family, killed the entire family, and raped 3 women. Did you forget that? You're asking to die." Pang Wei didn't expect Emo to know this. Where did Emo hear this from? And he even said it in public. It seemed he would need to slaughter today. There was no way he would allow anyone to know that he had the Wu God chant. When people saw Pang Wei's face after hearing Emo's words, they knew that things didn't seem so simple. Many of those who wanted to help him changed their minds. Wang Yijian had realized that Emo hadn't even taken out his weapon when fighting him. However, he took out his weapon for Pang Wei. He was dazed. Was Pang Wei stronger than him? But the next moment, he found out he was greatly wrong. Pang Wei's short figure immediately stood up straight and seemed taller. His temperament and qi were spilling out like crazy. Wang Yijian hadn't expected Pang Wei to have such power and still keep a low profile in Jiuming Academy. If it hadn't been that Emo was there to kill him, perhaps no one would have ever known he was such a master. Those who felt Pang Wei's immense pressure and power could tell that he was the real #1 in Jiuming Academy. No wondered why Emo was taking out his sword then. Emo didn't dare to treat an almost foundation establishment state-level master easily. He was sure that Pang Wei was no match for him, but he wasn't cocky enough to ignore him. Pang Wei and Li Cheng were both at real great heaven, but Pang Wei cultivated the Wu God chant. Emo hadn't seen the cultivation method yet, but he was sure that it was much stronger than what Li Cheng cultivated. Hence, he wouldn't take his opponent lightly before they fought. Sensing Pang Wei's immense qi, Kai Ji felt that she almost couldn't breathe. She was shook. She was at heaven level now and just on the border of the stage. If she hadn't reached great heaven and had tried to ambush Pang Wei, it would have been impossible to kill him. Luckily, she hadn't done it or she would have been dead by then. Pang Wei took a step forward. However, it was that one step that brought him in front of Emo already. Emo's eyes narrowed. "Since City Lord Yi is so cocky, then let me see what you've got. I just hope you don't end up getting killed before killing me." Pang Wei didn't even pull out the curved sword on his back and he just threw a punch at Emo. This plain punch made Emo feel uneasy and breathless. He could even feel that the entire peak spirit chi seemed to have been drawn by this fist. It was as though if he had hesitated for a moment, he would have been pulverized by the punch. Without hesitation, Emo's flying sword appeared and he attacked with dense cultivation essence. A thunderous clash sounded. Emo was smashed 10 meters away with his flying sword. He even spat a mouthful of blood in the air while Pang Wei was completely fine and didn't even take a step back. Instead, he punched again. The audience was shocked. They hadn't thought Pang Wei was that strong. Emo had beaten Wang Yijian with one move, yet Pang Wei had knocked Emo away with one punch. The Jiuming Academy disciples rejoiced and immediately cheered for Pang Wei. They hadn't thought their sect had such a master. Kai Ji's heart beat rapidly. Her forehead was sweating and blood was seeping out of her fingers. She had thought Pang Wei was dead for sure, but it turned out he was stronger than Emo. Only Emo knew that the reason he was forced back that much was not due to the difference in their qi, but because Pang Wei had played a dirty move. He hadn't thought Pang Wei could turn the outside spirit qi into his inner qi, so he got injured by Pang Wei's own qi. Luckily, the spirit qi there was diluted and Pang Wei's power was limited. However, he was prepared now and wouldn't fall for the same trick again. However, Emo was also very shocked. It was said that only masters above nascent soul state could mobilize the qi in the environment, yet Pang Wei could do it. Still, Emo was happy because he knew that the Wu God chant was very strong. A mere great heaven was able to throw such a fierce punch. Pang Wei's fighting experience was very good and before Emo had landed, his second punch was there. However, this was just purely his own power. Emo knew that he had no other way but to clash head-on. Pang Wei had intentionally created this situation thinking that his inner qi was much stronger than Emo's. This time, Emo didn't use his flying sword and just used his fist. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The two fists clashed together making bone-cracking sounds. Even the people on the stage felt intense aftershocks that ripped their skin apart. Some people were bleeding already. There was a crater due on the center of the stage due to the clash. Seeing such fierce battle, everyone was speechless. It was the real pinnacle of martial arts battles. Emo was thrown high up in the air and Pang Wei sneered. He knew that there was no way to gain a momentum in the air. He had created that situation too. He still believed that Emo was no match for him, even if he hadn't done that. Yet his careful nature made him treat all his opponents with full power. Emo sighed. The Wu God chant was really terrifying. Luckily, he was cultivating the three-birth chant or he would have been dead that day. He knew what Pang Wei was thinking. Pang Wei was well experienced but far less than Emo. He wouldn't have thrown him in the air if he hadn't let him. Before Emo could land, Pang Wei stomped the ground and was shot up like a rocket. Die! A huge fist got formed again and attacked Emo's lower body. Everyone thought that Emo was be dead for sure. Emo sneered. He didn't need to clash directly with Pang Wei. He could just get on his flying sword and dodge it, but Emo didn't want to do that. At the same time, Emo gathered all his cultivation essence onto that one fist. He didn't believe that the three-birth chant's cultivation essence was weaker than the Wu God chant's inner chi. The two fists clashed again. Rumble. The explosion of chi caused a big roar and bone-breaking sounds were heard. This time, Pang Wei spat out blood and was shot down from the air by Emo. He landed on the rocky ground and created a huge crater. Keep acting cocky, Emo sneered. He punched Pang Wei again. Bang! The sound of another clash could be heard as a curved sword with searing sword chi smashed against Emo's fist wind. Pang Wei just barely managed to pull out his curved sword and block Emo's strike, but he was smashed many meters away and stumbled onto the ground. He spat another mouthful of blood before steadying his sword and glaring at Emo coldly. Emo took out a lotus life pill and put it in his mouth. This Pang Wei was quite tough and his body was surprisingly strong. Could be seen that the Wu God chant was really something. But Pang Wei was thinking that he had underestimated Emo. Never had he thought he would meet someone who could beat him head-on. When he got the Wu God chant, he immediately knew it was a cultivation method of the highest shelf. Yet even though he had been cultivating it for decades, he was still no match for Emo. What was Emo's secret? He really didn't believe that Emo had a stronger cultivation method than him. Everyone was dumbfounded, and no one knew who would win the fight now. Emo didn't use any wind blades as he knew that it would just be a waste of cultivation essence. How about you let me go? I know you're not truly trying to get revenge for them. You want the Wu God chant, so I can give it to you. Pang Wei was still bleeding, but he was very calm. Emo ignored Pang Wei and approached him again. This time, his flying sword appeared in his hand, and he pierced out with it. It was just a simple pierce, but the half-step Great Heaven cultivators and Great Heaven masters could easily feel Emo's killing intent. It was a simple strike, but Emo had locked off all directions of escape for Pang Wei. Pang Wei sneered. Even though he had the lower hand, Emo was underestimating him by thinking that he could lock him down with just an inner chi wall. But immediately after, Pang Wei's face changed drastically. This strike wasn't slow, but when Emo first pierced out, there was just one sword, while after 1 inch it became 2 swords, after another inch it became 4 swords, 8, 16, and so on. Pang Wei was shook. He couldn't let Emo keep piercing, as each sword tip also had a sword ray enveloping it. Pang Wei didn't dare to hold back anymore. He gathered all his inner chi in his curved sword and hacked at the sword rays. Inner chi sprayed everywhere, and Pang Wei knew that it was because he used too much inner chi and couldn't control it properly. Clank, 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 Pang Wei's curved sword was shattered into countless pieces. He knew that if they clashed head-on with fists, perhaps he could last a while, but in a battle with weapons he had no chance and couldn't even run away. Emo's sword rays didn't completely dissipate. A few escaped and pierced into Pang Wei's body, bringing out flowers of blood which splashed onto the rock behind him. Emo then telekinetically grabbed a very thin old book from Pang Wei with the words Wu God chant on it. Pang Wei was covered in blood but didn't fall dead immediately. He uttered word by word, "What sword technique did you use?" Emo said plainly, "It's not a sword technique. It's a sword ability or sword skill." "What sword skill?" Pang Wei was really unsatisfied. He was killed in a head-on clash even though he had the upper hand at the start. He had to know what sword ability he died to. 3-birth sword chant, Emo said, and then opened the Wu God chant. 3-birth sword chant. Pang Wei murmured and collapsed onto the ground. The scene was dead silent. No one dared to speak loudly. The fight between these two masters was more than they could handle. Only Emo moved as he was flipping through the book. Everyone knew the book must be very valuable, but no one dared to go up or even speak. After 10 minutes, Emo had completely remembered the content of the book and understood what ancient martial arts truly was. This was an insanely powerful cultivation method. Instead of ancient martial arts, it was more like a cultivation method for attaining the Tao through martial arts. However, it was incomplete. It was divided into 4 ranks: Lesser Heaven, Great Heaven, Wu State, God State. The Lesser Heaven had 4 levels: Yellow, Black, Earth, and Heaven. Great Heaven had 3 levels: Refined Blood, Enlightenment, and Wisdom. Li Chang and Pang Wei were both at the Refined Blood state. The Wu state had 3 levels: Bone Sacrifice, Wilderness Soul, and Wu King. God state was incomplete, meaning that one could at most reach Wu King with this copy of the Wu God chant. Emo closed the booklet. He felt that the booklet was very useful to him. Emo believed that using the 3-birth chant, he could set up a new cultivation system. It would be a body cultivation method. In the cultivation realm, there were quite a few body cultivation methods, but rarely anybody chose to practice it. One reason was because they required large amounts of resources, and another reason was that it took large amounts of time. The truth cultivators didn't even have enough time for truth cultivation. Who would waste time on body cultivation? Emo put the Wu God chant away and said to everyone, "I'll be leaving now, we shall meet again if the time comes." Then he leaped away, and everyone immediately looked at where Emo stood in disbelief. When Emo took his first step, there was still a figure of him visible, but after the second step, his figure was dimmed. And when he made the third step, he completely disappeared. No one dared to think what level Emo was at. These were inhuman means. Those who had had some little schemes for the Wu God chant immediately gave up on their thoughts. Wang Yijian had a bitter smile. He had understood that Emo was much stronger than him, but he didn't expect it to be this much. Also, he hadn't been the #1 master of Jiuming Academy. Although he didn't know what Pang Wei's purpose was, it would have clearly been all too easy for Pang Wei to kill him. He wasn't afraid of death, but he didn't want Jiuming Academy to fall in his hands. He was actually a little thankful to Emo right now. He glanced at Kai Ji, who was in disappointment, and suddenly said, "Martial Sister Kai Ji, I would like to talk to you. Do you have some time?" Kai Ji woke up and said, "Sorry, Martial Brother. I know what you want to ask. But how about you ask Martial Brother Zeng, as I'm a little unwell, and I'll be going to rest." Then, she saluted with her fists and left. After Emo killed Pang Wei, she wanted to kneel on the ground and tell her dead parents that she had gotten revenge for them. But after Emo left, she felt emptiness. She didn't know what to do anymore, as she had lost her life goal. She also felt bad that Emo didn't even speak to her before leaving. Emo had said he would give it to her. She didn't really want it, but it would make her feel better if Emo had asked first. When Kai Ji went back to her room and took off her jacket, she found an ancient-looking booklet inside the pocket of her inner layer. Barely anyone had ever heard of the country called Sisun, but after its political revolution, its name was changed to Northern Sand, and it started massively developing industrially. Especially the military industry developed. The second year of the country after being renamed Northern Sand, they sent their own satellite into orbit. The third year, they produced world-class fighter jets. The fourth year, they started their mothership construction plan. Many people said that their technology was developing even faster than Luoyu's. Northern Sand's governing system was that of an empire. The emperor was called the Northern Sand King. He had absolute power and was a dictator. When Luoyu suggested to the Union to put Northern Sand to trial, the Northern Sand government got first-hand notice of it. At the highest meeting center of Northern Sand, all the high-level officials had gathered. The Northern Sand King was a black-faced man. The room was scarily silent, and no one dared to talk. "Prime Minister Dongfang, your plan failed." The black-faced man broke the silence. and his voice was cold. Dongfang Tang shook a little. Although he had his plans, he felt the Northern Sand King wasn't so easy to deal with. Dongfang Tang got up and bowed to the Northern Sand King before saying, "My plan was fine. The only thing that made it turn out this way was that we didn't expect Emo to suddenly come back after disappearing for more than 10 years. It is due to this that our Dongfang family in Luo Yu was annihilated. According to his plan, it would take 1 or maybe even only half a year longer before Luo Yu would become theirs without any war. Luo Yu would be controlled by Dongfang Wang, after which Dongfang Wang would help him annihilate the Northern Sand King, and he would take over Northern Sand. Then, they would gradually start devouring other territories. As for the conflict between the two brothers, they had agreed that they would deal with outside problems first before discussing who should be the Shitang king. However, just when they were about to succeed, Emo came back and thwarted their plans, wasting 2 years of their hard work. Emo found the Northern Sand Meeting Center as soon as he came to see Sun. He saw the people in the meeting room and immediately became happy. He came here mainly to annihilate the Northern Sand hierarchy, but he didn't expect to see Dongfang Tang there as well. Emo went into the Northern Sand government building and killed all the soldiers on the way. He found that there really were many masters here. There were 3 half-step Great Heavens and 7 Earth levels. Many more black and yellow levels were around too. There were also more than 10 low-level mutants. Emo didn't know what resources Northern Sand had that could allow them to produce so many masters in 10 years. This was too shocking. As Emo killed, news got out, and the power center of Northern Sand started to worry. Sisun's army also started to move. They had been suppressed by Northern Sand, but now that someone was attacking Northern Sand, they weren't going to let the opportunity pass. The factories and military factories started having riots. When the Northern Sand leaders got news of all this, they found that their door was already being blocked and their guards and soldiers had all disappeared. Emo stood at the door. "It's you? Emo." Dongfang Wang was thinking about how much the Northern Sand King would be raging at him when he realized that Emo had suddenly appeared at the heart of Northern Sand. When Dongfang Wang said these words, almost everyone in the room got up, and they all looked fearful. They had clearly heard about Emo. Everyone knew how great the defense of the Northern Sand building was, yet Emo easily had walked to the door of their meeting room. Emo scanned the place before looking at the Northern Sand King. He noticed that the man was a mutant. Emo knew that this Northern Sand King was no ordinary mutant at that. He was far stronger than that level 8 mutant he had seen before. Emo didn't attack him straight away, but he definitely wasn't going to let the man run away. "Emo, I've long since heard of your big name, but you're a man of high stature, and Luo Yu has such vast lands, and it's tens of times greater than Northern Sand. Why must you keep targeting Northern Sand?" the Northern Sand King asked. Emo laughed and waved his hand. A Northern Sand official who tried to escape through the window was sliced in half. A bloody smell spread in the room, and the scene became silent. Many people were shaking. The one who tried to run was an Earth-level master, yet he was so easily killed. Emo looked at the Northern Sand King and sneered. "Since you know there's nothing between us, why did you send people to seize Luo Yu's governmental power? Why did you send people to kill off the hidden sects and blame it on me? And the bomb I saw at the North Pole was also made by the trash standing before me, right?" The Northern Sand King's face looked very bad being called trash for the first time, but he didn't rage. He said coldly, "Those things have nothing to do with me. From the very start, I never decided to attack Luo Yu or you. I truly admire City Lord Yi and bear no ill will at all." Before Emo could sneer at this, the Northern Sand King pointed at Dongfang Wang and said, "All the ideas for attacking you and Luo Yu came from him. He's a ravenous wolf. The reason why he joined Northern Sand was to steal my power and build up his own power. Whether or not you believe me, Dongfang Wang is actually a descendant of the Shitang King. He's very ambitious. I've rejected his suggestions many times, but because the people he brought with him are quite strong and I don't have the confidence to take him out, I couldn't help but play along with him." Emo knew this was bullshit, but he was shocked by how much the Northern Sand King knew. Everyone was dumbfounded. That was bullshit. The Northern Sand King trusted Dongfang Wang the most, and each time Dongfang Wang said something, he would always say, "Brother Dongfang is right." Since when did he reject his ideas? Dongfang Wang looked at the Northern Sand King, and for the first time, he felt like he was a fool. The Northern Sand King clearly knew who he was but didn't kill him so that he could use him. He was sure that even if the Dongfang brothers had obtained Luoyu, they wouldn't have been able to get any benefits out of it. The Northern Sand King didn't wait for Dongfang Wang to keep thinking. He pulled out a gun and shot at Dongfang Wang's head. Blood splashed and Dongfang Wang died in his seat just like that. Thank you, City Lord Yi, for killing Dongfang Wang's men. Only then could I kill him. The Northern Sand King put the gun down and didn't try to shoot Emo. It was as though Emo had really come to help him. Everyone in the room was confused. Anyone else would have shot at Emo immediately because it was a gun that could kill half-step Great Heaven Masters. Emo smiled and nodded to the Northern Sand King. Very well then, no need to thank me. It's my honor to be able to do this for the Northern Sand King. But I've done my research. Everyone else here is also Dongfang Wang's men, so that's it, I almost got tricked. The Northern Sand King looked like he was full of hate. He opened fire and killed 3 more. Just when everyone else started to react and tried to escape, the Northern Sand King disappeared. Emo was shook. He had kept his eyes on the Northern Sand King, but at that moment, he couldn't find the Northern Sand King in his spirit sense at all. The reason he had let the Northern Sand King kill all of those people was because he didn't want the Hidden Sex King on the run while he had killed them. However, he had still gotten away when he was watching him. Emo couldn't stay there any longer. He shot out a flurry of wind blades and blasted the meeting room apart with fireballs. Although he knew there were lots of secret files and technology in that building, Emo couldn't care. He focused his spirit sense in a 20-kilometer radius. However, a few minutes later, he still hadn't found the Northern Sand King at all. If they fought, Emo was sure he could kill the Northern Sand King. However, he hadn't expected the Northern Sand King not to even want to try fight him and to instead just run away. He was so calculative that he had already planned his escape the moment he had killed Dongfang Wang. If that was the case, then that man was scarier than the Dongfang brothers. And if he got away, Emo didn't dare to imagine what could happen to Luoyu. At the same time, Emo got on the flying sword and scanned the aerial space. Sisun was in chaos then. All sorts of organizations had come out to try and get power. Emo didn't care. When he arrived at the outskirts of Sisun, he was getting more and more worried. The longer he dragged things on, the more chances the Northern Sand King had to escape. When Emo got near the sea, a ray-like thing darted past the border of Yemo's spirit sense. Emo chased it without thinking. Emo was at his maximum speed, but the shadow still dashed rapidly through the water. It seemed that the figure was a very small submarine. It was rod-shaped and it was at most 2 m long. Yet even with Yemo's speed, he couldn't get close to it. Emo could tell without thinking that this thing had been designed by Yixing. However, Emo couldn't understand how the Northern Sand King had gotten on that and how he had tricked his spirit sense. What is more, how did he get away from the meeting room? The Northern Sand King had decided to run away when Emo killed those half-step Great Heaven and Earth-level masters without a sound. He knew he was no match for Emo. His specialty wasn't fighting, but hiding and escaping. He was certain that nothing in the world could chase him if he tried to run. However, even with the means he had for running away, he couldn't get rid of Emo. He finally understood that, in the wake of absolute power, even if he built the biggest country in the world and controlled the entire world's army, it would be useless. Emo could easily kill him. 2 hours later, Emo was feeling fatigued. He didn't have any more stamina pills, and if he used up all his cultivation essence, the Northern Sand King might really get outside his spirit sense. Comparatively, the energy source of the submarine was probably something that could outlast him easily. If he used up all his cultivation essence and the Northern Sand King turned around to fight him, he would suffer greatly. But he didn't want to let the Northern Sand King go like that. Another hour passed and the Northern Sand King was probably getting bored of staying in the sea. So he started to go near the land. Emo's spirit sense saw the Northern Sand King pilot the submarine to a beach. He dashed out of the submarine and disappeared. Emo dashed down immediately and placed the submarine into his ring. The Northern Sand King's figure dashed and Yemo's spirit sense followed it closely. Emo had to approve the Northern Sand King's speed up until then. The Northern Sand King was running on 2 legs, while he was using a flying sword. The Northern Sand King clearly knew that Emo was chasing him and ran without turning around. Emo didn't want to give up, despite having to use a lot of cultivation essence. He suspected that the Northern Sand King was using something. There was no way a mutant could reach that speed. He was sure that if he hadn't used the flying sword, he wouldn't have even reached 1/10 of the Northern Sand King's speed. Not even a Foundation Establishment State cultivator would be able to run as fast as the Northern Sand King. After chasing for some time, Emo realized they had gotten to China's borderlands. Emo's face was pale as he held a spirit stone in his hand. He was about to fall of his flying sword because if he kept chasing, he might get heavily injured. But Emo found that the Northern Sand King had also stopped and was sitting on the ground. Emo rejoiced and immediately flew over there slowly. When Emo was just a few hundred meters away from the Northern Sand King, Emo stopped to recover his cultivation essence. However, the Northern Sand King got up to leave again. Emo was shook. He was about to succeed. How could he let the Northern Sand King escape? But when Emo grabbed his flying sword, he found that his cultivation essence had been depleted so much that even if he found a quiet place to recover, it might take a day. The Northern Sand King got up, but he didn't run away. He looked at Emo and laughed. Emo, you can actually fly. Funny how I thought you were just a mutant. If I had known there was someone in this world who could fly, I would have never built Northern Sand. Emo ignored the Northern Sand King. He walked another 300 meters forward, standing only 10 meters away from the Northern Sand King before stopping. Emo, if I hadn't attacked Luo Yu, would you have still tried to kill me? The Northern Sand King asked. Emo gasped. No, I don't offend those who don't offend me. But you've offended me on multiple accounts. The thing I regret the most is offending you. I never thought there would really be someone who could fly in this world. The Northern Sand King looked despaired and said to Emo, I want to ask you one last thing. Emo sneered. Keep dreaming. Die. He sent his flying sword out. Emo felt threatened by the Northern Sand King, so the safest thing would be to kill him first. As the flying sword neared the Northern Sand King's neck, Emo had a sense of extreme danger, and he moved aside without even having time to think of the reason. Sizzle, a few shimmering beams passed through where Emo stood. At the same time, Emo's flying sword produced a splash of blood as well, and the Northern Sand King's head fell to the ground before rolling to a stop. Emo also knelt on the ground. Even though he reacted immediately, his leg was still hit. The beam passed right through his calves. Emo ate a Lotus Life pill and stopped the bleeding. Emo sat on the ground and sighed. If he didn't kill the Northern Sand King immediately and gave him the chance to properly use that railgun, he might really have been killed in the end. If the Northern Sand King hadn't been scared and not shot Emo immediately, then the result would have been really hard to predict. Emo was sure that if the Northern Sand King had shot immediately, he would be in a much worse situation. Emo recovered some power and walked up to the Northern Sand King, picking up that gun. Without looking, he knew it was the same type he gave Luo Ying but just stronger, and its energy source was the Extreme Energy Stone. When Emo looked at the Northern Sand King again, he finally understood why he was so fast. The Northern Sand King's legs were completely pulverized, but Emo was sure he hadn't attacked the Northern Sand King's legs. There were 2 used-up runes tied to his legs. Emo carefully picked up the scraps and pieced them together. His face changed drastically. This was a rune that only Golden Core State cultivators could draw, a god mobility rune. No wonder he could run so fast. This rune seemed to be high-quality stuff. If it was an ancient martial artist who used this today, he would never have been able to chase up. Where did the Northern Sand King get such a rune? Emo really wanted to know. Emo scanned his spirit sense over the Northern Sand King's body and found another smaller rune in his pocket. A teleportation rune? Emo was shook. He could barely make low-quality god mobility runes, but even some actual rune masters wouldn't be able to make teleportation runes. Emo knew that this teleportation rune was also high quality. Finally, Emo understood how the Northern Sand King could disappear right in front of him. He seemed to have more than one of these but couldn't use the second one. Emo felt quite lucky. If the Northern Sand King had used the second teleportation rune, he might not have been able to catch him. However, since his legs were ruined, he would eventually be able to find this guy. The Northern Sand King having these runes meant that he had definitely found a cultivation rune before, and it must have been a rather high-level one. Emo searched the Northern Sand King carefully but didn't find anything special. Emo took out a fireball rune from his ring and burned the Northern Sand King's body. Then he slowly left this valley. He had killed the Northern Sand King and annihilated Northern Sand, but he still didn't know who the Northern Sand King was, where he came from, and why he had built Northern Sand. But Emo didn't care. He didn't have to know. He just wanted to find a place to recover his cultivation essence before going to Nanjiang, Wanchu Mountain. But right after Emo finished taking care of the scene, he saw 5 people with big backpacks come over. 3 men and 2 women. Emo didn't want to talk much and sat down. Although he had used up all his cultivation essence, he still had spirit sense and a few fireball runes as well as a railgun. Although these 5 posed no threat to him, Emo still scanned them with his spirit sense. What surprised Emo was that 4 of them were at the yellow level while 1 was a black level peak martial artist who could reach the earth level at any time. What shook Emo the most was that the strongest one was the most seductive-looking woman. She had the smallest bag, and the 2 bag straps squeezed her chest out, making it seem very enticing. Accompanied by her exquisite face, this made the 2 yellow levels constantly glance at her chest while gulping down their drool. The other woman was in her 40s and looked average. She was only at the yellow level tertiary stage, but Emo knew her. She was Huang Mei, the advisor of the Hong martial gang. 1 man was also at the yellow level tertiary stage, but he was in his 50s. He had a coarse figure and was walking while looking down. There were 2 fat rabbits hanging off his bag. The 5 got to where Emo was, and Huang Mei didn't recognize him at first, because she was keeping her head low for some reason. There's someone here, and he's injured. The youngest man spotted Emo and exclaimed. They all stopped, so Emo could only say, I'm an adventurer and I got injured, so I'm just having some rest here. Do as you please. It was nearly dark, yet this injured solo adventurer wasn't asking for help. This was quite strange. Ha! Huang Mei suddenly exclaimed. Emo sighed. She had probably recognized him. What's wrong, Sister Mei? The prettiest and strongest woman asked Huang Mei, seemingly suspicious. Huang Mei recovered immediately and said awkwardly, This person is injured and it's so late. If we leave him here, he might not survive. That's right, yeah. Sister Mei, you're really kind-hearted. That busty woman blinked her flashy eyes and suddenly took out an exquisite bag. From the bag, she took out a pea-sized pill and said, This is a healing pill. Take it. Emo took the pill and scanned the woman's bag with his spirit sense but didn't speak. The woman laughed. Little brother, you're really lucky. We're also adventurers. I'm Feng Yanqi, the acting captain. How about you come with us? We are in the outskirts of the Duanheng ranges after all. It's very dangerous to stay here alone at night. I know you also cultivate ancient martial arts, and although you haven't reached the yellow level, you must think you're quite strong. But we are actually. Emo knew that she was implying that any of them were stronger than him. She was very close to Emo when she spoke. Her voice was very soft, and she smelled irresistible. Seeing Emo not talk, the woman said, Brother Chan, how about you help him? Emo waved his hand and said, No need. I can walk myself. Then he got up. The bag the woman had was filled with all sorts of goo bugs in different colors. She said this was the outskirts of the Duanheng ranges, which meant that they were near Nanjiang. A woman near Nanjiang who had a bunch of goo? Without thinking, Emo knew she was from the All-Goo sect. Seeing Emo get up but not eat the pill, Feng Yanqi laughed. Little brother, do you think I'm going to harm you? Don't worry, I didn't give you aphrodisiacs or anything. This is just to treat your wounds. Moreover, even if I gave you aphrodisiacs, you would be the one gaining, ha ha ha. Emo was calm. He saw that 50-year-old man was calm too. while Huang Mei blushed a little. As for those two younger men, they didn't look too happy. Huang Mei glanced at Emo before suddenly saying, "Sister Yanqi, it's dark now, so how about we stay here for the night and keep moving tomorrow morning?" Feng Yanqi glanced at Huang Mei and smiled sweetly. "Okay, we'll stay here for the night then. Sister Mei is really caring, haha." Everyone took out tents from their bags and started setting them up. Soon it was all set up, but Emo didn't have a tent of his own. Feng Yanqi looked at Emo and said enticingly, "Little brother, we don't know what your name is yet. Also, how about you come sleep in my tent tonight?" Emo shook his head. "My name is Moing, and I've been living outside a lot, so I can sleep outside." Huang Mei took out a big foldable umbrella and gave it to Emo so that he'd have something for cover. The man who didn't really speak started a fire and soon roasted the two bunnies. Emo got a share too. Emo knew that 5 ancient martial artists couldn't get together for no reason. They were either looking for something really important, or they were all tricked there by Feng Yanqi. Emo really wanted to know why they were there, but he didn't ask. He knew it was best not to. When the 5 people got in their tent, there were no sounds at all. Emo's spirit sense could tell what everyone was doing. None of them were sleeping. The middle-aged man who had roasted the rabbits started cultivating, while Huang Mei was frowning. As for the 2 younger men, one was cultivating, while the other was being restless. 1 hour later, Feng Yanqi got out of her tent and called outside of Brother Chen's tent. "Brother Chen, are you asleep?" Brother Chen immediately got out of the tent happily and said, "Not yet, Yanqi. Come sit inside for a while. We can talk about tomorrow's route." Sure, but I need a bathroom break first, and it's so dark," Feng Yanqi said embarrassingly. Brother Chen immediately understood this as Feng Yanqi being interested in him. Otherwise, she would tell Huang Mei to go with her. Without thinking, he said, "How about I go with you, Yanqi?" "Thank you." Feng Yanqi immediately nodded. The two quietly left the tent. Emo's spirit sense followed the two. There was something dodgy going on. With Feng Yanqi's black level peak power, she would never be afraid to go to the bathroom by herself. Besides, did they need to walk that far? Then, Emo noticed that Huang Mei also got out of her tent. She was in black clothes and really hard to spot. Emo thought she was going to follow them and wanted to remind her. But instead, Huang Mei went into Feng Yanqi's tent. Emo scanned it with his spirit sense and knew there were a large bunch of marks in Feng Yanqi's tent. Huang Mei wasn't dumb and was able to find out. She ruined the markings Feng Yanqi had left and then left a pea-sized camera in her tent. Emo knew that Huang Mei was suspicious of Feng Yanqi but wasn't sure, so she needed to gather evidence. But Huang Mei was too inexperienced compared to Feng Yanqi. Feng Yanqi would know for sure that Huang Mei was the one who had come in when she got back. Huang Mei got out of Feng Yanqi's tent immediately as soon as she finished setting up everything. Emo got up helplessly. He had a good impression of Huang Mei, so he decided to help her. He'd recovered some cultivation essence by now and used invisibility to get into Feng Yanqi's tent and restored the markings Huang Mei had damaged. When Emo came back to his foldable umbrella, he found that Huang Mei hadn't gone to her tent but came to his spot instead. "Miss Huang, long time no see." Emo smiled. Huang Mei said, "City Lord Yi, why would you be here?" Emo smiled. "I also wanted to ask that. Why are you here?" Huang Mei sighed. "After I left San Francisco, I tried looking for you. I like military tactics, but I served the wrong person. Zhu Hongsheng isn't someone who can accomplish great things. I left the Hong martial gang wanting to join you, but I couldn't find you. Later, I was taken away by Northern Sand and ended up having to do things for them. Then why are you here? I didn't see you at Northern Sand, right?" Emo asked. Huang Mei didn't know what Emo's words meant, and she smiled bitterly. "I didn't want to stay in Northern Sand, and when I was doing a mission near Icehelm Island, I saw that our target was you on a screen. I really admire your capabilities, so I wanted to help you. I killed those few people with me, but someone still managed to detonate the bomb at the last minute." Emo was dazed. He didn't think there was someone helping him in that situation. He knew Huang Mei's situation at the time, and although he didn't know how she got away, he was sure she was telling the truth. Emo felt warm. He didn't know Huang Mei, yet she had helped him like that. He really owed her. I had planned on going to Luo Yu and expanding my ambitions after helping you there, but I wasn't able to help you in the end. A few years later, I was very happy to hear that you weren't dead, but I no longer had the will to go Luo Yu. And then I heard you went missing. Huang Mei seemed a little dejected. Emo suddenly got up and bowed to Huang Mei. No, you did help me. If it wasn't for your help, perhaps I would be dead now. Emo finally understood why the bomb was detonated only tens of seconds after he ran away from the most dangerous place. If it wasn't for Huang Mei, he would be dead for sure. Emo said genuinely to Huang Mei, Sister Mei, you saved my life. If you hadn't delayed the detonation, I wouldn't have gotten out of that cave for sure. Then Emo asked her, Sister Mei, do you cultivate ancient martial arts? Huang Mei knew that Emo wanted to repay her. She immediately nodded. Yes, I cultivate ancient martial arts. After I knew you went missing, I no longer had the will to use my tactics in the world, so I went around touring places and was able to obtain an ancient martial arts cultivation method. Let me test your spirit root first. Emo took out the device. He thought that if Huang Mei had a spirit root, he wouldn't mind teaching her truth cultivation. What is a spirit root? Huang Mei subconsciously asked. Emo just wanted to answer when his spirit sense scanned Feng Yanqi taking off her pants and squatting on the ground. That brother Chun was right in front of her, and she didn't avoid him at all. She was clearly trying to seduce him. Feng Yanqi's fat white ass appeared in Yemo's spirit sense and made Yemo feel a little uneasy, but he couldn't retrieve his spirit sense now. Yemo had some biological reactions seeing that naked perky ass and quickly gave himself a clear mind spell. Seeing Yemo's uneasy face, Huang Mei immediately asked, What's wrong? I have some medical pills on me. Do you want one? Yemo came back to his senses and quickly said, It's nothing. I was just thinking of something. It's an earth and would double spirit root. Yemo saw this and was shocked. Theoretically, there shouldn't be a lot of people on earth with spirit roots due to the lack of spirit chi. Yet, he had found so many people with spirit roots. What's that? Huang Mei asked strangely. Yemo said to her, Huang Mei, thank you for saving my life. You're cultivating ancient martial arts. If you still want to cultivate that, I have a cultivation method that can let you reach above great heaven. Huang Mei was definitely one of the smartest people alive, and after hearing this, she knew Yemo had more to say. So she asked calmly, Then, does that mean there's other stuff too? Yemo nodded. Yes, if you don't want to cultivate ancient martial arts, then cultivate truth like me. Cultivate truth? Huang Mei repeated. She had never heard of this before. Yemo hesitated for a moment before saying, Have you heard about immortals? It's not a legend. The reason there are no immortals now is due to the lack of spirit chi on earth. Simply put, the ultimate goal of truth cultivation is to ascend to the immortal realm. Of course, that opportunity is very rare. Maybe not even 1 out of 100,000 cultivators can ascend. Yemo was talking about Luo Yu continent. What? Huang Mei was dumbfounded by Yemo's words. After a long while, she said shakily, I must cultivate truth. I must dash. Huang Mei was a hot-blooded person. She couldn't bear doing nothing, and that's why she had chosen to scheme for big people, even if it was a gang. Now, there was something more suitable for her than scheming. How could she not agree? Emo nodded. He was just about to tell her the specifics of truth cultivation when he saw that Feng Yanqi and Brother Chun were together already. Such a crazy woman. Brother Chun couldn't resist her seduction and hugged her from behind. However, before Brother Chun could go in, she turned around, pushed Brother Chun on the ground and started moving erotically on top of him. Master, tell me? Huang Mei asked. Oh, okay. Emo returned to his senses and looked awkwardly at her. You don't need to call me master. Just call me Emo. Truth cultivation and ancient martial arts begin in similar ways. We unblock our meridians. Emo paused again as he saw Brother Chun gradually getting thinner. It was like the blood in his body was getting sucked away. Emo didn't scan their private parts with his spirit sense, but he knew that Brother Chen's blood essence was getting sucked into Feng Yanqi through sex. Brother Chun was getting drier and drier. while Feng Yanqi's face became more vibrant and her temperament got stronger. Emo thought of the duo cultivation methods in the cultivation realm. Some benefited both parties, while some only benefited one side and sucked dry the other person. Feng Yanqi was no truth cultivator, so she couldn't do that. She was probably using a goo bug to do it. Thinking about this, Emo felt disgusted and that biological reaction went away. He could tell Feng Yanqi really had a strong fetish. Brother Chun looked like a mummy, and yet she was still interested in moving up and down on him. She wasn't going to let go until she had sucked him completely dry. Emo finally realized that the reason Feng Yanqi had found that group of people was for her cultivation. Emo wondered about why had Feng Yanqi brought Huang Mei then. Did she have something special planned for her? Emo subconsciously glanced at Huang Mei. Huang Mei subconsciously shivered at Emo's glance. She felt Emo was giving her a weird look. Moreover, Emo kept on talking and stopping, as though thinking about something. Emo realized this and immediately said, "I'll teach you truth cultivation formally tomorrow night." Huang Mei got up and looked at Emo. "You need to be careful with Feng Yanqi. I feel she's strange. There were 6 of us in the beginning, but the second day we lost someone." Emo was dazed at these news. He hadn't thought that Feng Yanqi could have acted so quickly. Brother Chen was the second one. "How did you meet her? How did you get together? What purpose do you have here?" Emo asked in surprise. But as soon as he finished speaking, he felt Feng Yanqi's power increase again. She had reached Earth level. Huang Mei was about to start talking when Emo stopped her. "Go back to your tent first. We'll talk tomorrow night. Feng Yanqi is about to come back." "How do you know?" Huang Mei subconsciously asked, but she immediately nodded and went out. She knew it must be related to truth cultivation. As soon as Huang Mei got back, she heard Feng Yanqi return and scream. Emo, Huang Mei, and the other 2 men got out of their tents. They found that Feng Yanqi had ran back with tattered clothes while calling, "Quickly! Go save Yinzhu." "What happened?" "Yanqi," the other man in his 30s asked. Feng Yanqi immediately said, "Yinzhu fell off the cliff. Hurry and save him." Her eyes were full of worry. "What happened to little Chun?" the middle-aged man who didn't usually speak suddenly asked. The 2 men went to the cliff Feng Yanqi led them to and shone the torch down. However, it was bottomless. "How did Chun Yinzhu fall down from here?" the man in his 30s asked with a strange tone. Feng Yanqi wiped her eyes. "I wanted to go to the toilet at night, but I was scared to go by myself, so I asked Brother Chun to come with me. Then, after I was done, I twisted my ankle trying to get up and Brother Chun quickly came. He hugged me. You were doing your business next to the cliff?" Huang Mei asked strangely. Feng Yanqi said in embarrassment, "No, it's quite far from here. But when I had just gotten up, Brother Chun hugged me, and because my pants weren't tied up, everyone knew what she meant." Chen Yinzhu was indeed keen for Feng Yanqi. Feng Yanqi didn't seem to mind what other people thought and said, "I struggled a few times, but Brother Chun hugged me tighter, and then I couldn't resist anymore and in our excitement we actually went next to the cliff. Brother Chin accidentally tripped over. Weep weep. I did this to him." Emo sighed. That woman was really good at acting. If he hadn't seen everything with his spirit sense, he might have even believed her. But it was true that she really couldn't resist anymore and that she had indeed harmed Brother Chun. Everyone fell silent. The other young man in his 30s had a bleak face. He hadn't expected Chen Yinzhu to evade him and go alone with Feng Yanqi. At the same time, he looked contemptuously at Feng Yanqi. She was clearly a pretty and busta woman, but she had had a liking for a man like Chen Yinzhu and had taken a dump outside in the middle of the night. "Let's go back first, it's too late. There is no way for us to find him. We'll talk about it tomorrow morning," the middle-aged man said. Huang Mei suddenly said on the way, "I heard there's a type of ghost in the mountains that leads people to places they don't want to go subconsciously at night. Women are more likely targets, as their yen qi isn't strong. Huh!" Feng Yanqi screamed at this and subconsciously looked at Emo. Huang Mei was very smart and immediately said, "Mo-ing, could you come sleep in my tent? I have 2 sleeping bags. Otherwise, I'll be really scared at night." Everyone was dazed at this. They had been with Huang Mei for quite a few days and knew she was a very conservative woman. Although she was average-looking, her body wasn't bad, and she was mature. Everyone would have some thoughts about such an overnight invitation. Feng Yanqi was dazed too after hearing Huang Mei's words. She rejoiced. She wanted to stay in the same tent with Emo, and Huang Mei's words were a gift. Although she wouldn't suck essence blood in the tent, she would have something to do at night with a sturdy and good-looking man. And, although this Mo-ing was injured, his smell was very good. She didn't mind letting such a man sleep with her. She was far from having had enough fun with just Chen Yinzhu. Emo applauded Huang Mei's wits. This way, he could go to her tent without needing to find an excuse. The middle-aged man also glanced strangely at Huang Mei's odd actions. But no one said anything. Emo knew why Huang Mei told him to go to her tent. Before he taught her the cultivation method, he asked how everyone met. Apparently, Feng Yanqi used an underground ancient martial arts auction to gather the people to explore an ancient martial arts ruin in Wuxia. But he knew that Feng Yanqi was just looking for some resources to feed her cultivation. You all believed what she said? Emo asked. Huang Mei shook her head. Of course I wouldn't believe it just like that. But she took out a very ancient metal card which had a map carved into it. She said she had gone there before, but that the place needed 5 people at the same time to be opened, so she invited us. Brother Xiao also confirmed the card to be of an ancient martial arts ruin. Emo knew that Brother Xiao Shui was the oldest man there. Thinking about the Yan Wuliang he killed, he took out a metal card from his ring and said, "Does the metal card look something like this?" Huang Mei grabbed it immediately and asked in shock, "How can you have this metal card too? It's exactly the same as the one Feng Yanqi has." Emo nodded. He was sure that Feng Yanqi was one of those core disciples of the Algu sect. "Do you understand Feng Yanqi? Do you know how strong she is?" Emo asked. Huang Mei was dazed and asked Emo, "Do you also suspect her?" "I'm very suspicious of her, but I can't think of what her purpose is. I think she's about the same level as us, at least yellow level tertiary stage." "Same level as you?" Emo sneered. "She's at the earth level primary stage. It would be all too easy for her to kill all of you." "What?" Huang Mei was truly stunned. "Earth level," Huang Mei murmured. Black level was already an insurmountable mountain for her. Earth level was a thing of the legends. Emo nodded. "That's right, but she just reached Earth level tonight. She's from the Algu sect, and she uses goo bugs to cultivate. This makes her much faster than ordinary ancient martial artists." Emo kept asking, "Do you know how that Chan Yinzhu died tonight?" Huang Mei knew what Emo meant and said in shock, "Are you saying Feng Yanqi killed him? Why did she kill him?" Huang Mei was suspicious of her, but Feng Yanqi had no reason to kill. Emo said plainly, "She has 10,000 reasons to kill. Chen Yinzhu is just the start. She's from the Algu sect, and she uses sex to suck men's essence blood to increase her own power. Those who have all their essence blood sucked dry all die." Huang Mei's face blushed hearing this. She didn't understand why Feng Yanqi brought her to then, but she couldn't ask Emo that. But she knew that if she hadn't met Emo, she wouldn't even know how she died. This extremely pretty woman Feng Yanqi had the heart of a scorpion. This made her shiver. Seeing that the atmosphere was awkward, Huang Mei immediately said, "I can have a look at what she's doing." She took out a camera and opened it, showing the inside of Feng Yanqi's tent. Emo still said, "Don't put cameras in her tent anymore. She would be able to know each time you went in." "No way. I was very careful each time, and the cameras are very small and wireless." Huang Mei subconsciously rebuked. Emo shook his head. "I'm not saying she saw your camera. I'm saying if you enter her tent, she would be able to know." As though to prove Emo's words, the camera feed showed Feng Yanqi spin around her tent and murmur to herself, "Strange, she didn't come to my tent today." Huang Mei's face burst red. Emo said, "I wiped the marks you made today." Feng Yanqi then said, "She sure knows how to enjoy life, calling a pretty boy to her tent to enjoy. Old cow eating young grass. She's clearly so thirsty, yet acts so conservative. How dare you take my man?" I'm going to show you what's good dash clap. Huang Mei shut the camera screen as her face was red with anger. Seeing Huang Mei about to throw it away, Emo took it. This is quite high-tech. I'll keep it if you don't mind. Huang Mei calmed down and said, I wouldn't have thought that everything I saw was all an act. This woman really knows how to put on a show. Who, by the way, how did you know that so clearly? Emo shook his head and didn't answer. I'll teach you truth cultivation now. After Huang Mei found out about truth cultivation, the small world and the cultivation realm, she was completely dumbfounded. Everything Emo said was beyond her comprehension. One night passed quickly. The next morning, everyone got up to pack their things. No one brought up to look for Chen Yinzhu. Everyone knew that he was 100% dead after falling down from such a high cliff. However, Feng Yanqi took all of Chen Yinzhi's stuff and burnt it at the cliff while crying.